Good morning, traders, and happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of PreMarket Playbook on Benzinga. I'm your host, Kevin Dubrisky, filling in for the one and only Ryan today. So, guys, if you're ready to make some money, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. Sun, Quantum, Brett, good morning, guys. Paul, good morning. Chuck, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are all doing well, ready to make some money. Let's go over some pre-market playbooks and see what the market might have in store for us. So, guys, drop a hello, drop a good morning, and let me know if you're ready to make some money and do some analysis. Good morning, Yassine, Brett, what's going on? Hello and welcome. Hope you guys are prepared. So this morning, guys, we do have non-farm payroll. This is a very big economic report, and it usually tends to give us a big move pre-market at that 8:30 when the report comes in. So if you guys want, we could be keeping an eye on the ES and the NASDAQ because those are the futures, and futures markets are open 23 hours a day to watch for the reaction. Good morning, Florida Yacht Insurance guy. I like it, man. Cool name. Crisp, what's going on? Good morning. Big Bees, good morning. Yassine, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are ready for a great pre-market playbook today. We've got some great stuff in store for us. 13 is joining us soon. We'll do some technical analysis. We'll find some movers. We'll find some great trade setups for you guys. Good morning, Prudencia. Good morning. Good morning. All right, guys, so non-farm payroll coming up. Let's take a quick look at the ES now. We'll take a look at the SPY first because the SPY is the ETF equivalent of the ES. So right now I'm looking at the SPY and I see that we're sort of near the top of our range. Now, if we start on a daily time frame, and this is what I like to see, guys. So I always want to go from a top-down analysis. I like to see that we're creating a very bearish momentum on the market in a whole, right? This is the S&P 500. We see that we created all-time highs just in February, and since then we pushed lower, and we use our measurement tool. We can measure it from the high to the low. We pushed beyond negative 20% on the S&P 500 to the downside. Now, for us to be in correction territory, we need to break that negative 10%. We got that. We broke below it. But now, just recently, with the news of a potential relief to tariffs, we got back above that 10%. And it looks like right now, where we're currently trading at, we're only down 8%. So, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think the market in a whole is doing? Do you guys think that we might have found our bottom and make our way back higher? Do you think that we haven't found our bottom yet and the tariff turmoil is still in play and we could see a rejection here? So I'm going to show you guys, this is the daily time frame. We could come down to maybe like the 4-hour or 2-hour. So if I'm looking at the 4-hour, let's look at the 2-hour first. And I could see that on the lower time frame, we have some higher highs and some higher lows. So the markets are trying to push bullish on the ES. However, we've come into a very strong area of resistance that I'm going to be keeping an eye on for us to see if we could sell off today. Now, something I did want to point out, guys, is we had some huge earnings on big tech lately. We've had Apple, which reported a very strong Q2 earnings with a double beat. We had Amazon, also a double beat, Microsoft, and we also had Meta. All of these had double beats, guys. These are large cap techs. They were doing fantastic, phenomenal. A lot of them had big gap ups. Now, I want to show you guys the chart of Meta because Meta gave us a great gap up. Now, I covered Meta with Paul Meeks lately, and during that call, we saw we had a 587 and 592 level on Meta. So if we come over to the daily time frame, this is what I was looking at. I wanted to see if we could break above and continue. Now, yesterday when the market opened, we opened right near that 590 and we rejected it right away. So right off the bat, I see that we're still pushing lower, even though we got our gap up due to those good earnings. The Apple call, yep, Cam, Apple call was very promising. We could take a quick look at Apple as well, which I do believe gapped down too, right? So something I mentioned, and in case you guys weren't on the Apple call coverage with me and Paul Meeks, is I noted that for the past 6 trading days, we have been pushing green. We've been breaking previous day highs and closing green, and yet prices failed to really continue higher. We closed at 208.36 on Thursday. And then the next Thursday, we only moved up $4. And that's with almost 2 weeks of bullish price action. That's a very weak movement. That tells me that there's a lot of selling participants holding price below here. And what we got on Apple with the earnings was a big gap lower. So something I'd like to see on the market in a whole is if Apple and Amazon also want to have these gaps below and keep pushing us lower. So we saw Meta had a gap higher from earnings, but when the New York session opened, we started to sell off. If we look at Microsoft, I believe that was the same situation. We had a gap up, we started to sell off. So something I would love to see on Microsoft is a bit of a different situation. I'd like to see Microsoft continue. However, I would really like to see Microsoft retest near this 419, 415 level. Now, this is a really important level because this was a major pivot. So look at how we were creating a higher high. So we created a higher high, higher high. This was our bull trend. Then comes our mid-February, mid-January, markets start to sell off. We get weaker. We have a lot of tariff turmoil and uncertainty. We create a lower high, and we create tons of lower lows. Guys, that's right. Throw some tickers in here. I'm going to cover some large cap first because they all just released earnings, and then throw some tickers in here. We'll cover them as well. So something I would like to see here on Microsoft is a retest of this 420 area and for us to move higher as well. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are all doing well. So let's take one more quick stab at our reports. Now, Amazon also had a double beat Q2 guidance, and the CEO focuses on making customers' lives easier and better. So something I would really like to keep an eye on Amazon is where they're at with their net sales and where they're positioned to be going forward. So what happened was Amazon reported first quarter net sales of 155.7 billion, up 9% over year. The net sales beat a street consensus of 155 billion. Good morning, Fairchild. How's it going? Joshua, what's up? Cam, what's going on? We'll cover some Uber and Nvidia very shortly. The company reported operating income of 18.4 billion, up from the 15.3 billion in last year's first quarter. Here's the operating breakdown for you guys as well. We have North America at 5.8 billion, international at 1.0 billion, and AWS is at 11.5 billion. Huge, guys. Definitely want to be keeping an eye on Amazon. We saw that we had a double beat. Earnings were looking good. The companies are looking well, but we also have to remember with the tariff uncertainty, are people trying to buy ahead of tariffs prices increasing? And is that going to inflate the market more, right? We had GDP came in, GDP was lower again. We have a 74% chance of a recession now. So let's see where we're at. Now let's check out some charts. Now we've got some requests. We got Rivian, MSTR, we have Block. Let's take a quick look at Rivian, or we'll take a look at MSTR, and then we'll take a look at Rivian. So here we go on MSTR. I got a pretty big area of resistance right here. Yep, we're going to have 13 on for some movers as well. All right, so guys, let's take a look. Let's cover, you know what, guys? Let's cover the charts after we cover the rest of the news articles. I do want to make sure we cover everything so we're informed going into the market opened of what we should be expecting, if we should be expecting anything. So another big mover, guys, was Reddit. Reddit stock spikes over 6% after hours after earnings beat. So another stock with an earnings beat. We could take a quick look at Reddit as well, and we could probably see that Reddit is performing very well. Let's see, after hours, it looks like we did not get any type of move. If we go to our 5-minute time frame to sort of see the internals, it looks like we had earnings. We had a strong gap up, but it looks like right around here, this is 17:10, so it's about the 5 o'clock, right near an earnings call would be. They had a strong move lower. So that leads me to wonder, because I was not on that earnings call, did they maybe announce something that was a little skeptical, right? So something I would look for on Reddit is to see where volume wants to come in. Do we want to find some downward momentum because of the call, or do we want to find some upward momentum due to that first initial reaction? Yep, Lori, this was Reddit, RDDT. So Reddit had a big impulse move yesterday due to the earnings, but during the earnings call, it ended up coming back and erased that whole entire move right out. Now we are opening up. It looks like we're opening at about a $6 difference, and we could use our measurement tool over here on Benzinga Pro. This is the trading view on Benzinga Pro. Measurement tool is right here. Looks like a ruler. And we're going to measure it from our close yesterday to where we are right now. And it might not be this big of a 20% move, but check it out. It's still at a 6% gain overnight. So Reddit's something I would be keeping an eye on. Really want to see how volume reacts when we open. So something I look for, guys, when it comes to volume and some day trading is I look for that first candle open with follow through. I know, guys. Let's see. Well, is it rally time? We'll have to see. When market opens up, we'll go over some SPY, some QQQ as well. We're going to bring on 13 soon for some movers. We got a lot of good things in store for us today, guys. Let's see. So some movers today. We have FRGT is up 223% right now. Let's check that out. FRGT. Wow, look at that. Let's see. Let's go back to that 5-minute and see that overnight move. So FRGT went from 95 cents to $3. Awesome. So that was a pretty big move right there. Guys, I want to save movers though for 13 because I know you guys love them and I know 13 loves them. Movers are great. Let's wait on that. Let's cover some more Amazon. Let's cover some more Apple, some Reddit. What other tickers, guys? Drop in the comments what tickers you guys want to see this morning, what news you might think is expected. Let's see. So TWLO as well. Let's take a look at TWLO. Now, guys, also MSTR, big area of resistance over here near this 400 to about 440. Now, I know this is a very big zone, so I would really be careful. I wouldn't look for shorts right away when we enter it, but something I would recognize due to the price action is every time price did enter this zone, sellers stepped in, sellers stepped in, sellers stepped in every single time. So I would be careful on any long positions into this zone. We see how yesterday we even tried to push higher. MSTR has been moving higher, been doing great. I had a price level of 343 down here with a target of 400 if we broke, and it is continuing. It does have some great momentum. Anyone holding kids, I sold once it hit $4. Awesome. So let's take a quick look. Let's see. Let's see, kids, KIDZ, because I saw that was also a big mover as well. Check that out, guys. This is the daily time frame on kids. We got Meta as well. We'll cover some Meta, some Rivian, TWLO. Guys, we'll cover any tickers you guys want to cover today. We'll try to find some key levels, some possible trade setups. So it looks like kids is really spiking here. I liked that daily time frame yesterday, and I like the volume that was met with it, right? So we have strong volume. We have a strong return. So volume and price are related to each other. So if we saw a big move here on price, but we didn't find that big move on volume, we wouldn't really find the follow through. So guys, let's check out something else. Let's get back into some large cap. Let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft is probably one of my favorite large caps to trade, especially when it comes to following the trend in the market. Because Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Nvidia, Tesla, these are top 10 holdings in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So if I'm looking for a trend on Microsoft, I want to make sure I'm trading the same trend that I see on ES and NQ as well. I never want to counter trend in equity while the overall market is going in the other direction. Thank you, Ivan. Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're ready to make some money today with us. So what I would look for, guys, on Microsoft today is I'd really like to see us break that previous day low. If we could find some selling pressure, I'd like to see a break below the 424s, like 425. Now, guys, I talk about key psychological levels a lot, and a key psychological level would be something that ends in a 0, a 25, or a double 0. And what this really shows us is it shows us key psychological levels when we don't have any historical levels to go off of, right? Now, trading isn't just technical analysis. Psychology plays a huge role. 80% of trading is psychology, 20% is the technical analysis. I got a big recommendation coming up for Planter. So once we finish up with Microsoft, we'll cover Planter for you, Cassandra. Absolutely. So let's check the hourly real quick on Microsoft. So something I really like is we have our basing candle right here before we continued. So think of it like this, right? Most trades, most moves have two legs. They have their first leg, they have a pullback, and then they have their second leg. So this point where we had our basing candle, this overlaps with the broken supply zone. So this is sort of moving in my favor that I want to see price move lower. This would be a $6 move on Microsoft and find some potential buyers here. Now, once we start moving lower and we start selling off, a lot of people are going to be buying puts and shorting Microsoft. Now, we have to know that so we could inverse their retail trading psychology, because we don't want to be in that 90% of retail failing. We want to be successful, and we want to be aware of everything we can be, because in the market, we don't predict, we react. Guys, let's take a quick look at Planter, PLTR. This has been a big one over the past year or two now, really making a huge impact. I mean, going from the range of 20 to 30 last year, 2 years ago, to now ranges of about 125 to 75, 300%, over 200% return over the past couple years. Right now, I do see that Planter is sort of near these highs. So something I would mark out is I'd mark out this last bull candle before we had our reversal. So we're going to mark this out up here, and that'll sort of be our supply zone. So we can mark that with our red range, and we could see that, okay, well, now I have 121 to 125. We have some selling pressure. So I might look to see if we could either short Palantir up here or find some puts in Palantir up here. Now, if I wasn't looking for shorts, and I was pretty certain that, buyers are continuing, I think we're going to continue higher and break higher, I wouldn't use this zone for short positions. I would then use this as a flip zone. So instead of using it as a supply, I would look for us to break it and use it as a demand. Kevin, you said you would like to see follow through after the first opening bar. Are you looking for it? Are you just looking, or do you look to trade it? That's a great question. So we were looking at Microsoft. So me personally, guys, I am a futures trader. So I trade things like the ES, the NASDAQ, gold, oil, things of that nature. Now, because I trade the ES and NASDAQ, I have a monitor on my screen that's always loaded with 6 big large cap tickers. I watch Meta, Microsoft, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, and Apple. Now, these big large caps, these are 6 of the top 10 holdings on the ES and NQ. If I'm looking for a trend trade, I want to make sure at least 5 of the 6 are looking in that direction. Now, of course, sometimes we'll get Tesla, which likes to inverse the market or not really trade by the rules per se. So if Tesla's sort of running bearish, but we have Microsoft, Apple, Meta pushing new high days, that still gives me the consensus that we are still bullish in the market. So we have a request for Meta. Guys, don't forget, non-farm payroll is at 8:30 a.m. today. So that usually gives us a wild move. If we were looking at the ES chart, which is the S&P 500 futures, what we'll see once that 8:30 candle hits right here is we're probably going to see a wild move higher and or a wild move lower. So what I always tell people that I mentor is that we do not want to be in any trades when any economic news comes out, whether it's non-farm payroll, CPI, PPI, or even if we have some type of Fed speaking. Right now, if we do take a look at our, let's see, our morning update, see if we have any other economic news to be aware of. I do believe 10 o'clock we had something too, but it wasn't as important. So we're going to keep an eye. I don't see anything else on our economic events. So really just that 8:30 non-farm payroll that we have to be aware of. So we'll be watching the ES. Now, guys, how I trade my supply and demand is I look for highs, I look for lows, and I look for higher time frames. We have NVIDIA, Uber, and XYZ. Let's take a look at Uber, guys. Uber. Now, always want to start on a daily time frame. We find our higher time frame analysis to find our ranges, and then we find our lower time frame analysis for our entries. So sort of the same situation here, right? If we're looking at a daily time frame on Uber and we're looking all the way back here, this is December of 2023. Hey, good morning, Tyler. What's going on? We could use our, this is a rectangle tool on TradingView, and we can mark out the highs, and then we could also mark out our lows. So now this might not help us on a lower time frame, but this does help us on our higher time frame, right? So now I see higher time frame range, we're between 58 and 80. Okay, well, that's great. Now I know that us trading around 80, 89 right here, pre-market's at 81.33. I know that we're sort of at the highs on Uber, and I would really be patient and not look for any longs right here. Now, once I did my analysis on the higher time frame, right, guys, we were looking at the past 2 or 3 years. Now we could zoom in to try to find some more intraday trading or even some swing trades. So now that I'm starting to zoom in, I see that we were sort of creating lower highs. This was our last higher high on our bull trend. Then we started creating a lower high, created another lower high. So something I would really watch out for is I look to see if we want to break this high right here, and that's at 82.10. So 82.10 high, and we're going to get rid of that little arrow on the side, and I would look to see if we could maybe break 82.10 on Uber and reject it back lower to the downside, because the last 2 times markets were trading on Uber, the last, it looks like 4 or 5 times that Uber was trading in these prices, we had a rejection right here to 81.63, a rejection right here to 81.82, another rejection right here. And then we see that when we made these all-time highs, we again rejected a very strong move to the downside, over a 30% move. That is a $26 move to the downside on Uber from this all-time high. So right now we're only about 7% away from those all-time highs. I really wouldn't be looking for longs at this point. If anything, something I do see, guys, to the flip side, if I'm looking on a bullish perspective, is I do see we're creating higher lows. We're creating higher lows going this way. So I see that buyers are trying to sustain and hold Uber up. Now comes when we do our technical analysis and our company analysis, right? Fundamentals. Is Uber sustainable? We know that is very sustainable. We know it's doing very well. We know that doesn't really seem to be going anywhere. So can we see possible upside? Well, once we do fundamentals, we're able to really see earnings per share, things of that nature, and that helps us gauge as well if we should be holding long term or not. Something I really would like to see on Uber is possibly if we could pull back and create another higher low. So we have what you saw on Meta. What's going on, Ben? Good morning. Good morning. We will, we'll cover Meta as well. So right now we have this demand zone here on Uber that I would look for around the $70, 71, 72 mark. So I'd look to see if buyers want to hold up here. Now, again, something I do with my supply and demand, guys, is I like to drag it out to the left or right, depending on where we are, to see how price reacted in the past to it. So I see that this demand zone, in the past, market didn't really respect it too well, but it did work as a great middle point, right? When market came into here, we found some resistance, came over here, we found some support, and vice versa. So that's Uber, guys. We have Block, quick analysis on Block, sure thing. Block, oh, I got you, XYZ, let's get it. All right, guys, look at that pre-market gap down on Block. Looks like we had earnings, a huge drop. We'll see if it was a miss. Look at that. Ooh, double miss it looks like on Block. Be careful with this one, guys. XYZ Block, watch it. Let's look at right now, guys. I'd actually look at the weekly time frame to get a good analysis and good feel for some price levels. That's how low we've gotten on Block right now. So looking at this weekly, I would then come and do what we did on the last chart we did, right? We mark out our highs, we mark out our lows. This gives us our range and gives us an idea of if we should be buying at the lows or selling at the highs. So I'm going to mark out, this is a weekly area that we based. Uber is going 100 by summer. All right, Izzy, let's see it. Let's see it. I want to see Uber buy 100 by summer. All right, so let's see. So this is the 43.26 area on XYZ, which is Block, guys. And we see that on the weekly time frame for about, it seems like 28 trading days, it was very range bound. So this was a point that we found some consolidation and we found a rejection back higher, right? Look at this. Sellers brought us lower just for buyers to give us a very strong impulse move and continue. So something I would like to see here on XYZ is it looks like we're actually making our way to the lows of that range. So I could possibly look to see some long positions or some long-term holdings on Block if I was certain on it as a company. For some buys down here. Now, of course, we can't really look to target all the way up here unless we're looking to buy and hold for a very long period of time. If I was looking for a short-term swing trade or a possible reversal, I might look for buying the lows over here and getting out right at the highs up here. When it bounces at 8:30, will I get the earning if I cash out at high and bounce high, please? So that's a great question, guys. When it comes to trading some type of news event, it really depends, because when we get news events, we get very volatile and that increases our spread. So we want to be careful, because when we get a large spread increase like that, we get filled at very poor positions. So let's say it looks like price is up here at 56.66 and I try to hit that buy limit, it might fill me and fill my buy order all the way up here at 57.73 because of the volatility followed through from that news event. Same if you go to hit sell. If you look like we're pushing up here, I want to sell in supply, but we're pushing higher, you might hit that sell button and it'll fill you down here below price. So it'll instantly put you in a red trade. So guys, I always recommend to people do not take any trades going into earnings. I'm sorry, well, going into earnings, but also going into an economic event. Now, these economic news data events, they happen normally at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. If you guys want to check out and see when we're having those events, you could use Benzinga Pro. And you guys could either use the morning update, which is on, if you go to probeta.benzinga.com/dashboard, that's our beta version. And you're going to come over to the little person icon in the top right by account, and you're going to come down to where it says morning update. And that'll bring up the morning update for you. You're going to check economic calendar, and what you'll look for is the little US flag, because we're looking for our US economic events, and we want to see what time it's hitting. Guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate you all tuning in today. Make sure you drop some type of ticker or something you want me to cover as well. And I'm really excited to take some trades with you guys live today. We'll take a look at the SPY if you guys trade options. We'll take a look at the Qs as well, some large cap stocks and some penny stocks as well. Let me know what you guys trade, and drop a like if you're ready to end the week green. I know I am. All right, let's pull up our charts one more time, guys. So we were looking at ES. I think there was another recommendation. Yes, Amazon. Sean, what's going on, Sean? Take a quick stab at Amazon. It is 8:25, getting close to that 8:30 now. Absolutely. Oh, you guys got it. All right, so let's take a quick look. Amazon on the daily time frame, guys. Now, I have it marked out from our recent earnings event. Now, we held that yesterday. Me and Paul Meeks, tech legend. He's great. We had great analysis over Amazon. We went over the company as a whole. We went over Amazon's roadmap, the services they provide, and everything. So I saw that Amazon was creating lower highs, just like the rest of large caps, and lower lows, right? Because when we're in a bear market, most stocks, especially large caps, tend to trade together. So similar situation down here too. We started creating some higher lows. So something I would really like to see on Amazon, if buyers are going to continue higher and we do want to find some type of reversal, is I want to see if, let's see if Amazon can pull back to this 182 area and find some support. And if we hold this 178.85, then we might create a new higher low off of that point and break higher to create a new higher high. So you guys see how that trade would pan out is I look for an entry somewhere near this other low. I put my stop loss at this pivot low because I would want to see buyers hold us and continue. So if I was looking for a swing trade on this on Amazon, I'd look for sellers to bring us lower and possibly find some support. Now I could break it down to a lower time frame and try to find some supply and demand zones. So the first thing I do note, guys, is once I come to the 30-minute time frame, awesome. Once I come to the 30-minute time frame, I see this purple level that I already had mapped out worked as support very well. So again, same situation, looking to see if we come down to that 182, find some support and push back higher. Guys, let's take a look at NVIDIA, another huge large cap stock to take a look at. I did cover Microsoft already. If you guys want to rewind and take a quick look, we got another request for Google. I love it. Awesome, guys. Yeah, I love large cap stocks. They're great. A bit of an easier direction to trade, especially when it comes to trading the trend on things like the ES and NQ. Kevin, I thought Paul didn't like Amazon because of tariffs. I agree with your support level. Yeah, so Paul doesn't like Amazon where it's at right now. He is still currently holding Amazon, but yeah, he's a little concerned on where it's going to be, especially due to the tariff situation, right? Amazon sort of took a stab at the whole tariff news. They showed very clearly that tariffs are affecting their business and making prices higher. What happened? Trump ended up speaking and calling Bezos about it. So Amazon right now, tough spot, looking like we might want to pull back. Let's take a quick stab at NVIDIA. MSTR, I did cover briefly earlier. I'll show one more time real quick for you guys. MSTR, I was watching this major resistance level between about like, I'd say 390 and like 440. So look at this, guys, daily time frame. Every time we get into this price level, a seller steps in very strong, very strong, very strong, very strong. Guys, non-farm payroll coming up in T-minus 50 seconds. Let's see if we do a quick analysis on NVIDIA, and then I want to pull up the ES so you guys could see how the market reacts to it. All right, let's see. So quickly on NVIDIA. Looks like a mess, and we'll delete some old zones. We'll delete some old price levels. I always tell people that I teach, never get married to a price level. We could always delete them. We could always repurpose them and use them again. Now, this daily demand zone right here was a major level of support. and then we broke it. Now it's working as resistance. Same situation as our other large caps. We're at the top of a range right now without any certainty on these tariffs. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So guys, 10 seconds left before we get that news. Let's see what we get. If we get a crazy spike higher, what I would love to see for buyers to continue is a crazy move to like up here. But we're going to have to see. We have 2 seconds left, 1 second, and let's see what the market gives us. All right, so initially we get a first quick reaction. This was about a 20-point move on ES, right? So guys, we get a big move like this. I mentioned earlier, if you hit that buy limit button, when we get a spike like this, it's going to fill you at the very top, if not higher, because the spread is so wild. We saw that ES just moved 20 points in a matter of 1 second. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We always want to let the news candle form. That way, once that news candle forms, it gives us new information. It'll give us information of that news candle high and news candle low. And I like to use those levels as areas of liquidity because I know due to this rapid movement we have, there's either going to be unfilled orders to the downside or unfilled orders to the upside if we reject and push lower. Yep, Amazon's going to have a tough end to this week for sure. Now, guys, good morning. Good morning. How's it going, Walter? What's going on? Nice reaction right here. So again, something I'd like to see, and now we can mark out our support and resistance one more time, is yesterday we had a nice rejection right from the top in the supply zone, right? Now, this worked as our wall, or think of it as our ceiling for price. We couldn't push through. Then overnight, we tried again, and we couldn't push through again. So something I would really like to see here on ES is a strong break above it with the news candle that I mentioned just before this news candle hit. I wanted a strong move higher. And then I would like to see if we could retest this area that was resistance and look to hold it as support. So guys, let me know in the comments, do you think that this area of resistance is going to hold and we're going to push lower from here? Or do you think we're going to get that break higher? And hopefully we'll know within the next 5 to 10 minutes with this news candle as well. Guys, it is 8:30. What's going on, everyone? If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Now, something I do like to look for when it comes to trading the ES and NQs, I like to also watch the VIX as well. VIX is another big key because this gauges buying and selling on calls and puts, and it helps give us sort of a direction as well. Now, I'm sure some of you might be wondering, what's this weird looking chart down here that's got all of these symbols in it? Well, if anybody here has joined me on Futures Fever in the past or this last week, I had Peter Tuchman on. He's been a trader on Wall Street for over 40 years. Some of you might know him as the Einstein of Wall Street. And he says that he also looks at large cap stocks when it comes to taking trades on the NASDAQ and ES. So what I did was I created a multi-chart tool. Right in this one single chart, I'm looking at the Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, and AVGO all rolled up into one chart. So if I'm trend trading on something like the NASDAQ or ES, I want to make sure that this chart is also trend trading in that direction. So guys, we'll see. Let's take a quick look back at the ES. Looks like we're rejecting this price level right now. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. We'll see. That might hold us, guys. Remember, what is your schedule? When are you on? That's a great question, Ed. So I'm on, guys. You guys could join me let's take a quick look at Snap as well. But you guys could join me every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. on Benzinga for Futures Fever. So for Futures Fever, I have on David Green and Peter Tuchman. We go over some great charts. We go over some futures, and we also take some live trades as well. And guys, if you join, you get a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. So make sure you guys check that out and join next week. So let's take a quick look at Snap. Got a lot of recommendations on this one, and that's because it did have that gap down due to earnings. But just like we saw in some large caps, it had a double beat, but still gave us a gap down. So that leads us to wonder, did they say something on their earnings call that might impose that they aren't doing too well going forward? Good morning, Stefan. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are all doing well today. Hit that like button if you're ready to end the week green. I know I am. We still have an hour before the market opens, so make sure you guys are sticking around. We're doing some technical analysis, and let's try to find an A-plus trade setup today. So right now we're looking at the daily on Snap, and just like our other charts, we're going to zoom back and we're going to take a quick look. I don't understand options yet. Boom shakalaka. Yes, sir. But there's time, place to learn. Yeah, options are great. Options can be very complex. So the difference mainly between options and futures is futures doesn't have the Greeks. So when you're trading options, you have to know that there's delta, theta, vega, gamma, all of these Greeks that impact the options price. It's not just stock price. When you're trading futures, all that matters is the futures price. It doesn't matter how long it takes, which would be theta. It doesn't matter how quick it takes. It doesn't matter how many points or dollars it moves. All that matters, that is all that matters, the points and the ticks it moves. So if we were looking at the ES, 1 point on one ES contract is $50. It doesn't matter if you buy ES at 5,500 or 5,600. All that matters is 1 point is $50. Yes, yep, I cover most of our large cap earnings calls, anything highly anticipated, how to look at kids technically. We'll take a look at kids as well. And yep, let's find that A+ setup. So guys, real quick on Snap. So let's mark out some highs, let's mark out our lows, let's find our ranges. So the first thing I want to do is I'm looking back and I'm trying to find any major price levels. Right away, I see this big gap here and I see all of these highs up here. So I'm going to start marking out these highs, these wicks, and we're going to drag it out to the left. Okay, well now I see that this was a pretty major area that worked as a resistance, worked as a support, worked as a resistance. So I'm going to keep this. This is my first area on Snap right now near the 13 key cycle level. Now something else, we're going to zoom out and look at the lows. Try to find our low on Snap. Now Snapchat or Snap, it really is near these lows right now, right? It had a all-time low. We'll see if we can find an all-time low on Snap. And it looks like our all-time low is going to be right down here near the 250 mark. So not hitting those all-time lows yet, but trading at 783, we're definitely hitting a tough point. Hey, good morning, Lion. What's going on? Hope you guys are ready for a great trading day, for a great Friday, for an awesome weekend. So 482 looks like our lows on Snap right now. So right now we are currently pre-market trading within an older gap that we had from earnings. So if we want, we could mark out that earnings gap. We could zoom in first. Let's delete that for a second. We could zoom in on it. We can mark out our gap. Now, the first thing I would do with this gap is I would note that we already wicked into it. So then what I'm going to do, because some of this gap was already filled, is I'm going to drag the gap down even lower. So now I have my gap as an area of support. Hey, good morning, James. What's going on? So look at this, guys. Major area of support that I just marked out. We were looking over here. I was not looking to my right. Now I pull my chart to the right, and what do I see? I see support. I see we're holding this area as support. So Snap might be in a pretty good spot right now for a long-term hold. Might even be able to make its way back up to that 13 area. This might be a good spot to buy Snap. If the company wants to hold, we do have to know, though, they have very high competition. Even so, Snapchat's big thing, guys. Quick breakdown of Snap as a company. Their big thing was you could send a message and it instantly deletes after you view it. So it's secretive, sort of an easy way to hide things, whatever the case may be. Now, Meta is also doing the same thing. If you guys use Instagram, I'm sure you guys have seen in the direct message area, you could change your DMs to be invisible DMs. So once that person opens it, it disappears right after. So they have a lot of competition. Snap, is it being used that much? Guys, let me know in the comments. Are you guys using Snapchat still? Are you just more on Instagram and Facebook? I want to know what you guys are doing. I want to know, majority-wise, are you guys using Snapchat still? Let's see. We also had TWLO. What do you think of Meta 585? We'll take a look at Meta 585, and then I want to take a look at TWLO. So Meta 585, I had my price level at 587. So great job on that, Ben. Job numbers are good. Yep, market gave us a pretty clean reaction. We'll pull up the ES as well in 1 second. So look at this. So Snap gave us, Meta 585. I have a key level. If we could remain below 585, I'd like to see if we could maybe hit that 560 area. Not touching it. My kids use Snap Plus. Okay, your kids use Snapchat Plus. That's pretty cool. I've never used Snap and don't use IG or Facebook. Date, where do you get your information from? Oh, maybe Twitter? They got Twitter and X. Nowadays, IG and Facebook are the same of two differences. LLY and HIMS, guys. Let's take a look at HIMS. HIMS, I know, had a crazy move earlier this year. A buddy of mine, Adrian, a little bit of a name drop for him. Shout out to Adrian. He, great guy, great company. He actually helped me create my website. Quick drop on that. Tradingpioneers.net, guys, if you are interested. I have a bunch of resources, coaching services, one-on-ones, and I did offer a new resource now, Trading Journal. If you click download here, gives you a free trading journal for you guys to use. I do recommend any trader, whether you're swing trading or day trading, use this trading journal, tradingpioneers.net, go to resources, and you can really break down your trades. Trade date and time, entry price, trade direction, position size, stop loss, everything you might need to know so that you could journal your trade so that going forward, you're able to create a more sustainable system. All right, guys, so we're looking at HIMS right now, and it's looking like pre-market. We're trying to find support. I like the buying candle we had yesterday, but the one thing that's sticking out to me is the volume candles down here. Now, we had a strong gap up on HIMS right here on this day. We gapped up 26%, but once that New York session opened, it ended up selling off another almost 5%. Oh, I'm sorry, 13%. So something I'd really like to see, LLY back in the green after yesterday, HIMS pushing 37 after earnings next week, 100-day at 41.32. All right, so 41.32. We could throw up our moving average up on there, guys. Now, I personally don't really use moving averages, or the only indicator I use intraday is VWAP. Other than that, I use my support and resistance, supply and demand, and liquidity sweep levels. This is where major pivot highs and lows are, where traders might look for a breakout. That's where I look for us to reverse. So let's find our moving average exponential, and we are going to go to our settings on it. And we are going to do, what are we looking at, the 100? Let's take a look at our 100. Length. Let's see, 100. It's not giving us the 100. 31.40. I have 31. Doesn't look like it's giving us the right EMA on that. I'm going to delete that off the chart so we don't find any confusion on there. Let's just go back to our analysis of support and resistance on this. FRGT moving like kids right now. Awesome, guys. We're going to wait for the movers, see if we could get our homie 13 on here to find some good stuff as well. So guys, what I'd like to see on HIMS today, first off, I really like that we're above our previous day high. So something I always mark out when I'm trading some type of specific stock is I like to look for previous day high and previous day low. If I see that we're above our previous day high, then I'm going to only be looking for long positions if volume matches. If we're below previous day low, I look for short positions. The reason for that is because the trend is our friend. So we want to watch that trend. We see it right here. Broke previous day low, closed red, broke previous day low, closed red, previous day low, closed red. This one broke previous day high, closed green. This one didn't break anything and was range bound. This one broke previous day low, closed red. So the odds are always in our favor when we're trading with that trend when we break a previous day high or break a previous day low. 100-day support. Oh, I see what you're saying. 13 counting this money. Awesome, man. Guys, any other chart recommendations, please let me know. I know a lot of people were looking at Meta. MSTR was another big one. Take one more quick look at Meta. We covered Apple earlier as well. I guess intraday on Meta, guys, what I'd really like to see is if we could break this. I'd want to say pre-market low, but I feel like at this point, we would be chasing a bear trend. I'd like to see if we could maybe break this low right here. TWLO was another big one, I believe. Let's take a quick look at that. Look at this gap right here. And TWLO also had earnings yesterday, and it looks like it had a double beat as well. So whenever we have a double beat and a positive reaction to earnings, it tells me that the earnings call was probably positive too. We might want to be able to find some follow through tomorrow, depending on the volume. Volume tells us everything as traders, guys. Yeah, for sure. Raj, we can look at Apple in just a moment. UNH, Tesla for sure, guys. Yo, we got it. We got it for sure. Let's cover TWLO, and then we're going to hit some Tesla. So TWLO, very strong gap up. We see yesterday's close was around the 97.88, and right now we're opening near 106.45. So guys, this is TWLO. Yes, Yassine, this is TWLO. This is a 8%, almost 9% gain overnight due to that earnings gap. So TWLO, we have our next pivot right here at 108.97. So that's a little less than $2 away on TWLO. So what I would like to see if maybe we could find some buying pressure when market opens, and I would look to either target for a scalp that 108.97, or I would look for a rejection after we break that 108.97. Now, something I would really be looking for, and guys, check this out. We did reject this price level already pre-market. So that tells me this area, very, very strong when it comes to resistance. There are active sellers in this range up here. So now I have my two areas that are going to work as resistance or supply. So we can mark that out with our rectangle tool. What the rectangle tool does, guys, is it sort of helps us in a psychological factor that we're not looking at a specific price level. When we're looking at a specific price level, we might want to wait for the exact moment it rejects it, and we might miss that trade. Whereas when we use something like a rectangle tool, it gives us that range and that area to be looking at. So something on TWLO is I want to see how the market opens today. I want to see if we could push in towards this 108, 109 area and see if we could find some rejection over there. If we pick, so something I'd really like to see, and we'll come back to TWLO. You guys remind me later when market opens to look at it, because something I'll look for is I'll look to see if we could get some strong volume pushing higher. And if we meet strong volume with price failing to move higher, that means that strong volume is most likely a seller absorbing all of the buying pressure, and we might move lower from there. I heard somewhere that volume is not reliable. No, I wouldn't say volume is not reliable, guys. The only thing that really moves the market is volume and order flow, right? People are buying, price goes up, people are selling, price goes down. At least that's how it's supposed to work. But when it does come to volume and breakouts, that's when we get the confirmation and see some follow through. So volume along with price levels is when it's reliable, right? So when we're looking at volume and we're in the middle of, now if I'm in a supply and demand zone, guys, we'll mark this out red so we remember this is a supply zone. And we'll just say right down here is a demand zone, so we'll mark this out green. What I would do if we're trading at 103 right now, I call this the middle of nowhere. So when we're in the middle of nowhere, that's a no trade zone. Do not take any trades, because if we buy here, anticipating us to go to the supply zone, we don't know that we could end up selling to demand. If we sell here, anticipating we go to demand, we don't know if we hold and push back higher. Yep. Thank you, the seven figure. I got you. I got you. Yeah, volume is amazing, guys. I use another tool called Bookmap, and I won't bring it up on this stream, but it's phenomenal. It's a volume analysis tool. It shows level 2 time and sales, and it shows something called the heat map. What the heat map presents is it shows us where there are passive sellers and where there are passive buyers. Now, if you guys do want to use another great tool when using volume, is called the volume profile. So right over here, if you are on TradingView, you're going to come to the left-hand side, and you're going to come down to our fixed range volume profile tool. Now, if I wanted to see our fixed range from yesterday's price on TWLO from the open, I'm going to come over here. This is our 930 candle. Then I'm going to mark it down to our 345 candle, because I'm on the 15-minute time frame, and 345 close is 4 o'clock. So right here, we have our point of control, and we have our volume shelf. So our point of control is all the way at 98.06 on TWLO. Now, obviously, this information usually gives us a clear idea or a clear entry when we don't have some type of earnings report after. Let's say we were looking at this one here. And guys, in just a minute, once I'm done with this, we're going to bring on the one and only 13. So 930 to 345, and we see our price levels right here. So we could then look to say, okay, does price continue higher? Are we creating higher lows? Is volume continuing? Yeah, volume is definitely a game changer. So guys, hit that like button if you're ready to bring on Mr. 13. What's going on?
How you doing, Kevin? Good to see you again. How's everybody out there? Are we ready to trade some stocks, some movers?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
And you know what? Who's asking if volume's not reliable? Volume is super reliable. It's
No
what moves
kidding.
these markets.
That's right. That's right. Markets can't move without volume.
No, and you'll see a lot of times when we're doing these day trades, you have a particular seller with a large number of shares just sitting out there at a particular price, preventing any upward momentum. You get an expansion of volume. There's a good likelihood that kind of seller is going to get his orders taken out. You need volume. It's one of the most important things in this market. So yes, it's absolutely reliable.
Absolutely.
Just had to mention that because I heard that as I was coming. I was like, "What? It's super reliable."
Dude, that's the one thing I use. I don't use moving averages. I'll use Fibonacci sometimes, but supply demand key levels. That's what I like to use, psychological levels, and VWAP because that's the volume weighted average price. In my opinion, moving averages are great, especially on a higher time frame and higher moving averages like a 200 EMA, things like that. But lower time frame, they could be a little subjective. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of them. But guys, you have to remember, as traders, what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. So find what works for you, be comfortable with it, and create your system around it.
That's it. If once you have your system and it works for you, then try to stick to your rules. I find that that's one of the greatest things you can do for yourself. If you've got a set of rules around your trading strategy that works for you, follow those rules. It'll save you a lot of money, especially when some of your trades don't work out. Great rules to follow.
Yep, exactly. The 7-figure, I love it. No volume, no dance for you.
Yeah, you're going to see these. Sometimes you get these names that just move. All of a sudden in up several cents or dollars for that matter on very low volume, and you don't want that kind of illiquidity because if you try to get into that, you might not get your fill for one if you're trying to do a limit order, or if you're trying to do a market order, you might not even get anywhere near that price. You might be holding the bag immediately. So
right.
You want that volume, you want that liquidity, because that's going to help you execute your trades that much better.
Absolutely. James, you got it. My pleasure. Always happy to help. And guys, you guys feel free to join me every Wednesday on Benzinga here for Futures Fever. It's me, Peter Tuchman, and David Green. They've been trading for over 40 years. Peter Tuchman himself, he's on the floor of Wall Street. And when we have our calls at 11:30 on Wednesdays, he's answering it on his phone with Wall Street in the background. It's pretty funny, pretty cool to get his opinion on things and hear what he has to say from a Wall Street trader, a floor trader's point of view when it comes to things like tariffs or market economics.
And David Green's one of the folks I learned from, and he uses a series of EMAs on his day trading. Is he still doing that?
Yeah, David Green. Yep, he has his Wall Street Global Trading Academy. Yep, and if you guys join in on those live streams, he'll occasionally drop his email and give you guys the chance to join for free for a week. So that's pretty cool. Somebody, George, is asking, what platform do you use to trade? So right now, guys, we're looking at TradingView. TradingView is a charting tool. It's the same TradingView that you guys see here when it comes to Benzinga Pro. We have TradingView integrated here, except when you're using regular TradingView, it does have a couple extra tools and stuff, of course. Now, what's cool with TradingView is you're able to connect a lot of brokers, I should say. You're not able to connect any broker, but they do offer a lot. I think they even added Webull recently. They have Webull, they have Interactive Broker, they have TradeOvate. Now, when I'm trading futures, I'm trading on my TradeOvate account. So what I do is I'll link my TradeOvate to TradingView, and what I do is I'll use the position tool. What's cool with the position tool is it tells me how many contracts I could trade to risk my predetermined risk. So for a second, I'm going to bring up ES just to show you guys how this tool works. And then I want to check out KIDS because that one, it was on the movers, and I'm pretty sure 13's itching to go over it. So real quick on this position tool, guys. So we're going to come over here to forecast projection, long or short. Let's say we want a short position in the supply zone, and my stop loss is right here. It tells me I have 9.75 points for a stop loss. Now, if I double click it and open the settings, I have my predetermined risk set at $400. So it tells me on this trade how many contracts I could trade to risk $400. So if I bring my stop loss right here, it says I could trade one contract. If I tighten up my stop loss, what it'll do is it'll add to how many contracts I could trade. Now, because we're looking at ES and we can't trade 0.4 of an ES contract, we would move this decimal over and trade micros and do 14 ES contracts. Now, let's get into some it sounds weird. Let's go over the KIDS chart, guys, and find some good price levels. Let's see what's moving.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, so I only have a couple of movers on the list here this morning because it's pretty slim pickings on this day, this Friday day. Here, I've got FRGT and KIDS. FRGT is Freight Technologies. KIDS is Class Over Holdings. We traded both of these this week earlier. Freight Technologies, we traded this one on Wednesday. KIDS yesterday. Both are moving on pretty much the same thing that they were trading on previously. So we could start with KIDS if you like. This is, just go back to the name here. This had an announcement of a 400 million equity deal to back a Solana-based treasury strategy. We received this news yesterday on May 1st. We also had observed that prior to yesterday, earlier in the week, when we saw some insider buying from the director, a couple of directors, and one of the chairmen. So we started seeing some of these insider purchases, and then right after that, almost the very next day, I think 2 days later, we got the news of the 400 million equity purchase facility. So it's running on that news. We got some really good movement yesterday. Took us, and this is what we were talking about how this could go on in the afternoon. After the show, this went on to make newer highs all the way into the close. That took us up to about, what is this, just under 6, I think, into the close there. But now we're blasting off in the pre-market, got as high as 1029.
Wow.
We're coming back off of that. So for me, this is going to be one that I'll be watching to see what it does out of the open. I'm not interested in the position right now because it does look like this is weakening here into the open. And one of the things, I want to hear what you have to say here about this in just a moment. But one of the things that I'm watching for is I've got a trend line that I started at the yesterday in the pre-market, right underneath the first impulse move, and I've drawn that all the way through the lows of the regular session yesterday. And if I continue that, it looks a little bit different than mine. I actually started a little bit steeper than that, all the way like down to where the impulse was. Yeah, down there. And
gotcha.
then when you draw it to the lows of the regular session, we've come up and tested. You might have to redraw it because it does this. Yeah, there you go. So that's what I'm watching for right now. We're testing this trend line right now, and if we break this, I'm going to be a little less enthusiastic to jump into any positions until I see some real bottoming happening here with this stock.
Yep, looks good. I like it. I like that trend line you pointed out there. If I wasn't looking at let's say I didn't see that trend line, something I would look at. Now, I do like that trend line a lot because it does show that price is starting to squeeze, right? It shows we're creating higher highs, shows we're creating higher lows. Now, at this point, like you mentioned, and I think somebody also mentioned in the chat, it looks like it was picking up steam, but in my opinion, it looks like it's sort of failing at this point, right? Now, if we're looking at the technical analysis here on the after hours, at least, we are sort of creating a head and shoulders right here. If I mark that out for you guys. Now, the head and shoulders pattern, in my opinion, it's better when you're at a support or resistance level. On something like kids right here, because we don't historically have price levels to work off of up here, it's very hard to say, right? The last time we were up here on kids was just April 7th, and we can mark out that high on April 7th at $10 even. That's a key psychological level, and now it's a key high a day level right there too. Before that, kids was very flat around 11.15. So maybe kids wants to find some momentum and get back to where it was flat before, near that $11 level. Something I might look for if volume wants to follow through. Now, if we do want to find some momentum to the downside, let's draw that trend line up there again. I do like that because it is showing that price is starting to squeeze. If we could get a break below, I'd like to see if we can maybe come back to where our VWAP was yesterday. And yesterday's VWAP close is right down here. We started moving higher. I'd really ideally like to see this green range near 440, like 450, key psych level 450. If we are able to get some longs there, that could give us a pretty nice percent return. But we do have to be careful. Another key level I would watch is this weird looking candle right here at 4 p.m. I'm sorry, 4 a.m. We had a gap down, spiked up. I'd maybe mark this low right here because I would know that a lot of retail traders might be looking at this low and say, okay, I'm going to go long here. We're going to continue higher. If we go below $7, we go below $6.50, I'm going to stop out. Now, when we get a lot of stop hunts, a lot of people stopping out of the market, that's selling entering the market. So those sellers, people stopping out of longs, along with people shorting, people selling, that's going to add a lot of volume to the market, which could give us that push lower. So if we could manage to break below 640 today, I would like to see if we can manage to get back to 450. If we remain above this 640, 650, I would like to see us continue. If we are marking out these highs from pre-market, we are trying to hold them too. So just something to really be aware of. See if we want to continue, find some volume, see if that news was enough for us to continue into today. And that might be a pretty nice trade setup there.
Yeah, it's the price is currently trying to make its way up to the, I guess we'll call it the shoulder line, kind of where the height of where this the left shoulder was topping out at. So we're up there right now, and that's also about where my broker has VWAP right about there. I know it's different for different brokers where they place their VWAP. But another level that I'm going to be watching for is at 750, because that seems to be about where we could identify the neckline at for
Yep.
this potential head and shoulders here. So a loss of that trend line likely will take us down to that 750. And if we can't hold that, then we're likely going to end up getting a resolution of this head and shoulders. So I'm going to be just waiting to see what we end up getting here out of the open.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Guys, this is TradingView. This is not Bookmap. When I use Bookmap, I use rhythmic data. Somebody was asking in the comments. Let's take a quick look at the S&P 500 futures for just one moment. See where we are trading. Guys, look at this. We got the break I was looking for earlier. We broke above our resistance, where we had sellers stepped in yesterday for a strong move to the downside, stepped in last night for a move to the downside. Now they tried again here, but failed, so price squeezed and broke us through. So now something I'm going to be looking for on the ES or SPY, if anybody here is trading SPY options, is I'd look for calls once we could retest and pull back into this area. We could pull up SPY itself, and let's see.
You know what's nice about this price action? That's off of the. I'm sure you already know that's off the jobs report, the BLS jobs report.
Yeah. Yep. Jobs report was at 8:30 today.
Yeah, started running after that. But one of the nice things that we didn't talk about yesterday, because we saw the whole day ahead of us. But one of the things we were observing here are these engulfing candles that we were getting on the SPY daily chart, and that was we were getting an engulfing candle on Tuesday, on Wednesday. We broke out, and now we have this upward momentum that's taking us up to some of these resistance areas that we were running up into, that we were trying to recapture on the way down following. After Trump was elected. This was before tariff day, though, or the Liberation Day. This area above 565, when the selling was starting to occur in March, as it bounced and tried to recapture these levels, you could see there was a whole series of upper shadows where it was not having the strongest outcome, getting back up above that level. It only had several days close above it, and then we were right back down beneath it. So coming up to a range of resistance, starting at about 565, it looks like to me.
Yep. Yeah, I have that same. That's exactly where I had on the ES. We had a daily supply zone in that spot. So right on for the SPY would be around 560 to 567. So $7 range, pretty big on the ES. But when we're looking at a daily supply zone, they usually are much bigger than a lower time frame zone. Yeah. So I do like that we flipped it. Well, we haven't flipped it yet. We haven't broken the high we made that day from 567.42. So I'd like to see if we could break that 567.42. I'd want to see, ideally, I'd want to see us break that 567 in over here and then test my blue zone for a long entry. Let's hit FRGT. Let's get it.
Sir. Yeah, so this is another one that was moving earlier this week on the same news. That news being that they are going to be issuing convertible notes through facility of up to 20 million. They're going to be using that capital to purchase official Trump coins.
Oh, geez.
This sounds like a very robust financial strategy here. That news came from Wednesday. The company has a little more than 2 million shares in the float. Couldn't get a good income read on how much they make in pro here, but it does look like they're going to end up needing cash. Fortunately, they got this. These senior notes they're going to be issuing, and that there's really no news since then. It's just momentum. It looks like.
Yep, I see that. This is an interesting one here. So you said it had news, right? It had about the Trump coins and stuff.
Yep. Back from Wednesday.
Now, I guess what I'd like to see is if this news, is it real? Does it have follow through? Or are we going to get a crazy pump like this just for it to open and give us one of the most ridiculous down close candles we've ever seen?
Oh, totally could be. It could totally do that. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess ideally what I'd like to see, if I was going off the pre-market levels, I threw my Fibonacci tool from the high to the low of this trend. And it lines up on the 5-minute at least with a 5-minute fair value gap. Now, 13, I don't know if you use fair value gaps. basically what they are, and everybody in the chat too, a fair value gap is when there's an imbalance between candles, right? So if we're looking at these green candles right here, we look at 3 in a row. So a FVG is a 3 candlestick price action pattern. So we would go 1, 2, 3, all in the same direction. We would take the first candle's wick high and the second candle's wick low. And wherever those wicks don't meet is where we have our imbalance, right? Because price did not give us the opportunity to fill any orders in that range. So this would sort of be our imbalance level. I had my fib tool from the high to the low, and that also gave me my optimal trade entry. Now, when you're using a Fibonacci tool, an OTE, optimal trade entry, resides near the 61 to 78%. So when we could find things line up like a fair value gap and an imbalance like this and a Fibonacci, this might be a really strong area of support around 220.
Gotcha. No, I don't. I didn't know that. I haven't used that before. I'm looking at 220 on a daily chart now, and I can see that that's a very interesting support area based on previous price action, going back to September through September of last year to January of this year. If I'm looking at a daily chart, we've had this this drop in 2024, this really steep drop that especially in September. And as the price is trying to recover, there is more than one occasion where the price tried to recapture that 220 level that you mentioned, and it failed to do so. Yep. Multiple times, all the way through the beginning of the year. And then after the start of the year, that's when we really started this steeper decline. Yep. So I do like that 220 area. It's absolutely the level I've got. We're well above it right now, but if we do end up coming down, which you totally could, with given the nature of the news, I would absolutely be looking at 220 as a support area. We'll see if we end up getting that.
Yep. And guys, if we use our back to volume, because I know volume was a nice topic today, we could use our the fixed range volume profile. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it from the start of this range, right? So where these candles ran up, to solidify that this is an imbalance, that there were a lot of unfilled orders, we could use our volume profile tool to see where was the volume on these price levels. And I see volume was picking up once we broke out of that area. Now, if I'm looking at the volume shelf, there's a low volume shelf right here. And look at that, held up as support already. Now there's a low volume shelf right here. It says 56K. But if we're looking at the rest of the volume, that picks up 290, 300, 400K. This is a very low volume shelf that lines up on that imbalance candle. So that's sort of a good way to confirm it.
I have a question about these imbalances. Do you find that sometimes when a stock weakens and the price starts when it starts selling off, do you find that there's an acceleration through these levels, or does it really slow down sometimes?
So it's usually these are the levels that we find that we slow down. So even if we end up breaking them, we'll see us retest it, try to hold, because we also have to think of the retail mindset of, oh, as soon as we hold this, I'm going to go long. Mm-hmm. So markets know that as soon as we hold it, it pulls back. People are in their long positions. It might dip into it again. So what I would like to do, because I'm on a 5-minute time frame here, is I would trade off the 5-minute or the 1 minute. Now, if I was on the 15-minute here, I wouldn't go lower than the 5. Gotcha. So that's sort of how I find my time frame analysis to meet with my entry criteria. So like if I'm looking at a daily supply zone, then I'm going to want to make sure that I find maybe an hourly supply zone or a 30-minute supply that also rejected that price level. Right now on the hourly, check this out. These upper wicks up here tells me that sellers are trying to hold this range as resistance. So now we can mark this out with our supply zone. Now we have our highs and our lows. So something I might look for is if we don't get the retest or the pullback of FRGT to 220, I might look to see if we could break 380, maybe even possibly break that 400 key psych level and retest that 380, right? So I also, other than these imbalance levels for a retest, I like to use my supply and demand as flip zones. So this was a resistance level. If we could break it, resistance becomes support. Might be able to then target the next key level of $5.
And the range of that area you have there is what? What is the price
wide?
Range
about 50 cents.
It's 3 what?
What's that?
What's the price range?
Like about 328. It's about 328 to about 380. So I have it from the candle. The hourly candles close to the high where those wicks sort of met.
It's interesting. I'm trying to see that and then line it up with previous price action that we had in the stock, and those levels line up with pretty well with the areas between consolidation
Yep.
and price price discovery. So I'm looking to the left here, and you got some significant consolidation starting from about 265 all the way up to about 340, and then you don't see a whole lot of consolidation again until starting until about $4 going up to 550. So kind of it seems to line up with those
Nice.
areas you're talking about there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what I look for. I look to see my new areas to see if they line up with anything historically that we could work off of, right? Have we historically rejected this level in the past that I should look for the market to repeat itself? Or is this a level that rejected in the past, but with this news and buying pressure, I could look for us to squeeze higher? But so we could do, I dragged this out, I extended it to the left. We can now look left and see if that level, like you said, it sort of lined up with some other price levels. And yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Look at that. Area of support, we were
Yep.
below it. Area of resistance. Now let's see if we get back above it again. Now,
Absolutely.
if we're looking at this price action during these days, when we were breaking this price level, we were moving all the way to that $5 mark that I had, right? We even have highs of, looks like 548. So depending on the price action, depending on the volume, the movement we have, if we break this 360, 380 and get a retest of it, we might be able to take a long position targeting $5 and 548. But it's really going to depend
On volume.
Yep, exactly. And volume and price.
I'm gonna bring that back around multiple times today since we kind of opened with that.
Dude, I love it. Guys, don't forget, guys, spam that like button. I want to make sure we're running up those likes. I want to see the highest amount of likes on any pre-market playbook stream ever, guys. Let's run it up. Let's make Ryan proud today.
Do you want to take some tickers from the chat, or do you have some other stocks you want to take a look at here?
Yeah, you guys got any tickers? Please feel free to drop them down. Recommend. Let us know what you're looking at. We can find some key levels, some price action. Let's check our news feed, see if anything came in. SPY, we have April jobs blow past expectations, but tariff storm may be brewing. Nothing new there. Let's see. The U.S. labor market showed signs of strength in April, with hiring momentum topping estimates despite the impact of trade tariffs across industries. Non-farm payrolls increased by 177,000 last month, slightly down from a downwardly revised 185,000 in March, according to data released by Friday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Looks like we have some requests in here. What do we got? Some Adobe, NEM, EXAS. Let's get in some Adobe.
All right. Let's see. Are they reporting earnings soon?
Let's see. I don't see. They don't have earnings until it looks like
June.
May. So we have some time on that.
May? So, what's your date for May? Oh, I got March 12th that they reported. And then
yeah, they had March 12th, and then their next earnings is May. I'm sorry, June 12th. My apologies.
June 12th. Okay. No worries. No worries. All right, so they don't report for a while, so that's not going to really play into any near-term trading plan, I would say.
Yeah,
but looks like we're coming off of a low from the tariff announcement, coming back up. I don't know, we might be trying to recapture some levels here, maybe even get up to 400 inside this consolidation. That's what I'm looking at right now. Is this consolidation, this $25 consolidation from about 375 to 400? See that there?
Yep. I see that. I see that, and I agree with you. If we could break that 385, I could see us hitting 400 on Adobe. Might not be today, but I could see if we break back within this range. We had a range on Adobe in March, in most of March, from like March 13th to March 31st. We had a range between this big red candle we had between 377 and 406. So because we're trying to break back above that 377, that 380, I like to see if we get above 380, maybe hit that 387 area to confirm that we're back within this range. And that might set up for a little swing trade for a couple days on some calls on Adobe to push in that direction. But guys, when it comes to swing trading or options trading, especially when it comes to tech, large cap especially, I want to make sure that I'm trading with the overall market. Dwayne, what's going on, my man? If you want hit that rewind button. Check earlier. We went over Meta, Amazon, Tesla. That's another good one. Tesla, a lot of people were asking about. Let's quickly do Adobe. So we have key levels, a major resistance level at 403 to 405. And then I also have my support range that we're trading in right now between 376 and 384. So something I would really be looking for, if we could break below, I'd look for bears to continue. If we could break above, I'd look for buyers to maybe hit that 400 or 405 level. Let's take a quick look at Tesla. 13, Kevin, thoughts on dollar MRK? Thank you. We'll take a look at MRK. Just give me 1/2 a second. So guys, Tesla was actually a beautiful trade setup. So I covered Tesla earnings. I didn't have Paul on this one, but we had our Tesla earnings right here. And I mentioned that we're at the bottom of our range right now. So if we look back, we use our replay mode so we don't have the information going forward. We were at the bottom of our range, and I saw that we have earnings coming up. People are probably selling. We've been creating lower highs. We have a lot of stop losses above us right now, right? We have people with their stop orders sitting at 274, 275, people sitting at 286. So I knew that, okay, we're at the bottom of the range. Tesla tends to sort of trade against different trends. I want to see if Tesla could find its momentum at these lows or near 230, 240, make its way to 280, 290. And that's exactly what we got. Our earnings gave us a gap up. This confirmed that I would like to see buyers continue to price target 285. And then the next 2 days, boom, right to that TP was a really nice setup. Now, at the moment, we're at the top of our range, and it looks like we're trying to reject. So I would really be patient here because Tesla's looking like it's trying to move back lower. Tesla sales down 80% in Sweden. That's huge. Ivan, I appreciate you dropping that. Always good to have some more information, especially on the stocks and companies we're looking at. Let's see the movers.
I think when it comes to Tesla, the things that I'm seeing here is, one, we're getting some resistance from that 200-day SMA. Ever since we lost that back in, looks like early March, have not been able to recapture it. This is going to be the second series of tests. The first series was back in late March. But in this particular price range that we're in right now, it looks like about 274 is support, and that 200-day SMA is resistance. So it looks like we're trying to get some kind of a move off of what could be a triple bottom that was put in March and April. So if we are going to get the resolution higher, at least back up to 325, where there's the next area of consolidation, I think that we're going to have to recapture that 200-day SMA, see several closes off over that.
Ooh. Yeah, I like that. I like that area you just pointed out. It's funny, it lines up the same, right? Your moving average lining up right with my support, now resistance level. Looks good. Yeah, that's, what'd you say, 320?
325 is where I have my line drawn. I like
that's
that.
Exactly. I have 325.10.
Perfect.
Nice, beautiful.
I think, folks, this just goes to show how technical analysis, even with different ways of measuring things, they still get similar results.
Yep, that's right. Guys, Netflix, Jay, thank you for pointing this out. Netflix up 14 days in a row. Now, we mentioned Apple, sort of similar price action for just these past 4 days, how it looks like we're pushing green, breaking previous day high, continuing. But where is this continuation? It looks like it's just sideways, but yet these candles are all green. It tells me we're running into a lot of resistance. People might also be exiting their position, taking profit if they were in longs from this whole run up. I mean, Netflix at all-time highs right now. That is phenomenal. In a bearish market right now, for any stock or company to be making all-time highs, in my opinion, speaks very highly about that company.
It does. To me, this is a really nice move, and congratulations to whoever's been trading this when it was getting hit by Liberation Day. I think that this is pretty extended. RSI, daily RSI, is indicating that this is got a print of just under 75. Stochastics are starting to show that this is starting to roll over. I think that this is going to need to cool off for a little bit. Where this ends up going in that during that time, I think maybe you get some support around $1,064, $65. But it seems like the $1,000 psych level might even be stronger to me.
Awesome. So I'm glad you just mentioned psych level. That's right where I was headed. This is a great example of using key psychological levels when we're at all-time highs and don't historically have price levels to work off of. We don't know if we'll reject 150, 160, 170. So what we can do is we can mark out key psych levels ending in 25s, 50s, double zeros. So we could use our horizontal line and just sort of mark those out. So I'm going to edit this one, and this one's going to be coordinates 1150 key psych level. The next one I'll have will be 1175. The one under that will be 1125. Now, $25 moves, these are big moves. Netflix has been making $25 moves like it's nothing. So we want to be careful when trading these price levels if we're taking any trades off of these price levels. Let's do another one down here at that 1100 even.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I like Netflix. Netflix has been very bullish. If we find momentum in the market, Netflix would be the one I would look for longs. Now, Netflix can get a little extra expensive when it comes to options, so I would be careful on that. Remember, there are other equities we could trade as well. Let's see.
I one thing that we could point out with this is that yesterday we started seeing some pretty significant selling by one of the insiders. They were selling a lot of shares. Let's see, we have a tranche of over 32,500. Before that was almost 31,000 shares. So there is some insider selling. Now that could mean, there's some potential downside coming, but it could also mean that they're just trying to take advantage of a really extended stock price.
Yeah.
But being up here, I don't think I'd necessarily be a buyer right now. I think it's very extended. I'd like to see a much better discount. Do like that level that you had there, the 1100 one, and the $1,000 even. Just want to also mention that $1,064 level from the high that we got back in February, and on its way back up here just last month, was also facing resistance at that level before it broke out on April 24th.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. That's good analysis, good breakdown on it. You know what? I challenge you. You're saying you wouldn't buy up here? I would consider this a buy the dip opportunity. Now, if we're looking at the hourly time frame here on Netflix and looking at just the past, this is April 24th. So what, the past 2 weeks, maybe 8 days, over a week, we've been making higher highs. Well, longer than that, we've been making higher highs and higher lows. But if we're looking at the hourly time frame here, we have our order block sitting right here. I'm just going to change the settings on that. So we have, look, our basing on the hourly that we had our impulse move away. We came back into it and we retested it and we held and made a new high a day. Now we created the same type of price action right here where we have our basing at a low, an impulse move afterwards. So I would like to see if maybe Netflix can come into, and that would be below that 1125 range, come into 1120, find some support and push back higher because it has been in a bull trend. So I wouldn't ideally look for shorts up here, especially because we've been in a bull trend, and not even in a bull trend. We've been in a winning streak sort of on Netflix the past 14 days. So I would really look to trend trade. Trend is our friend. Now, if I was looking for longs in this zone, let's say we move into this level and we're selling off really strong. I mean, we dropped from 1136 to 1120 in a matter of the first 15 minutes of market open. If that's the case, I'm going to be extra patient for this zone, right? Now, this is an hourly demand zone, so I would be waiting for maybe a 15-minute reaction. I'm not going to jump in as soon as a 1-minute reverses or a 5-minute reverses if my analysis is on the hourly. I'm in TEM calls. I want to cover TEM. I see our homie Joshua in here mentioned TEM a couple times. Just want to make sure we cover it for him. And guys, any other tickers, please let us know. Wolf, SoFi, Riot, Hood. Awesome. We got a nice little list going. Looks good. So something I see on TEM here, guys, is we have on the 15-minute time frame. Now we'll start with the 15 and then I'll go back to the daily. Is our 15-minute high from yesterday. This was a great point where sellers stepped in. If we extend it to the left, this was also an area that buyers were trying to step in. So I'd look for this 53.61 to 54.32 area to either find shorts if we reject it, or if we could break above it, I would look for a retest to go long, right? So sort of like how we rejected it here for shorts, I'd look for similar price action, or for us to break it and flip what we did right here for a long position. And we could probably target, depending on the buying strength, 56.89 looks okay. Now, looking at the daily time frame, we got to be a little realistic. And looking at the daily time frame, if we open here on the New York session, 56.89, it's very possible. We see the buying pressure we had on these other days. These days moved up $4. I'm pretty sure this was probably like $5. Nope, also $4. So if we open here, we're looking for a $4 move. Measured move wise, how do you like them apples? We got right there to that key level, $4 right above that. So pretty interesting. I'd like to see TEM move higher today. Hopefully, I would ideally like to see us flip this resistance level to find a long position to target this next resistance price target.
Dustin, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead. I know you finished.
No, that's all right. I was going to say if we do reject it, though, we probably will see selling pressure. Markets range 80% of the time. So don't go long anticipating a break, right? We want to be patient. We want to react to the market, not predict the market.
Dustin was asking me because he said we were talking about TEM yesterday, and he said you were liking the TEM chart yesterday. Can you elaborate on it more today? As I recall, what I was liking about TEM was the fact that it had broken over both the 200 and the 50-day SMAs and held above there, so it's to continue to trade above that. And earlier this week on Wednesday, we had a back test of both those moving averages at the same time. We bounced off that. So what I was liking about the chart was the fact that we were holding above both those moving averages. Now, admittedly, we did see the 50-day SMA cross beneath the 200, so we do have a death cross happening here, but we are still trading above both moving averages. What I'd like to see is I think Kevin was just also talking about this, was a move, a breakout today that takes out some of that sellers that were hanging out above $56. I have a bit of a trend line here that I'd like to see get taken out as well. But the fact that the price is still holding above those two moving averages, I think speaks to the strength of the buyers. And I'd like to see how strong those buyers are by having them move further up into the 56 and higher handle.
Awesome. Let's see. The 7-figure says NVIDIA could put chips in lawnmowers and Dyson vacuums. Don't we already have Roombas?
Yeah, we do. And they still have to do work on their batteries, actually.
Oh, okay.
I have one, and it sometimes it will just kind of die in a particular room, and I have to pick it up and go put it back in stock.
All right, guys, we got another request for SoFi. A few people were mentioning this one. We did cover Uber earlier. Guys, run that like button up. I do appreciate you guys hitting that like, viewing us today. Great stream today. Awesome analysis. Market opens in less than 3 minutes. So hopefully we get some type of move. We'll be watching the S&P 500 SPY. We'll be watching some of these small cap stocks as well. We're going to find some good trades for you guys today. I promise. All right, let's see. SoFi. So SoFi, we're looking at, and we'll look at the daily time frame, do our top-down analysis. Wolf short squeeze. Joshua, I'm going to take a look at Wolf in just one moment. Let's see. So we're looking at SoFi right here. We found our lows. This was our support area. It found support there. Sort of a tough point here on SoFi. I'd be careful because at this point, that's funny. I have an alert at this high right here and we haven't broken it. At this point, we could be creating a higher low right here if we sustain this price level around $12. So what I would look for on SoFi is I would mark out this 1205 daily low, and I would just sort of look for buyers. So I would do like maybe, I like to use emojis, so I don't type out a whole big thing. Look, and then buyers. Right now I know I'm going to look for buyers at that point because I want buyers to hold us at that level. If we do break, though, to the downside, there is a good chance we break $12 and make our way towards 11 or 1070. Hey, good morning, Beach Bum. What's going on?
Hey, Beach Bum.
Hope you guys are doing good. What do you think? What are you thinking on SoFi 13?
I have a particular horizontal level here. We can call it $14, but I had it marked off as $13.80. I think there was a particular price that that made me put that that exact level on there. But let's just call it $14. That to me is a important support term resistance level. It's frequently going back and forth between the two. So if you look at a $14 level on a daily chart and go back to when it IPO'd, you can see that same area, that same $14 level was both support and resistance ever since this company's inception into the market.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
So it was resistance on IPO day. Finally, later on in January 2021, we broke out. It was support all the way up until January of 2022. Then it became resistance, and it was resistance all the way up until November of 2024, when it became support again. Now we're back and as using that as resistance. So once we start trading back over 14, I think that we could end up going higher and focus on $14 levels being resistance on any days where the market's selling off.
Yeah, you know what it is? I like that 14 key level, but I like the range of 14 to 15 a little bit better because I feel like a lot of people might look for that $14 breakout and target 15, and then we might whiff that by like 10 cents, and those people are going to be stuck holding the bag. So if we do extend left on that daily time frame, like you mentioned, to the IPO, that let's see, actually the low of it is like 1270. I guess we can move. The thing is, I'm looking at the daily right here, and I'm looking at how we held it as support and where we dipped into it. And it looks like we dipped into it as low as 13.18 on this day. So we can move it up to 13.18 for the low, and then the high of this range is 14.86. So we see historically, IPO came out, we rejected 14 to the downside. Market opened. Market opened. Stock breaks above it. I'm reading and talking at the same time. Market did just open. So let's take a quick look at market open, guys. See if we have any of these setups coming up now.
That we've got that breakdown of the trend line. This is what we're looking for. So that 750 level is going to come into play here. That's what I think could be the neckline. Need to see that hold up. If we start breaking beneath that, I'd be maybe thinking that $7 is going to be the next area of support. Here we go, right down to 750. Through that, coming right down to 7. So we are getting a real big drop out of kids here. Kids are getting dropped off, folks.
All right, let's see. I'm going to pull up kids over here. Keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on our scanners as well. Let's see.
Take a look at FRGT while everything else is happening here. What's Freight Tech doing? So that's still going sideways. It did sell a little bit, but didn't drop beneath the 290 level where we were getting support earlier after the big impulse move earlier this morning.
Yeah, I like this selling that's stepping in here on kids. I would like to see that continuation. Remember, we had support on kids all the way down to like, I think it was like 630 or something down here. Let me pull up TradingView one more time just to double check. Oh no, I had 450, and then we had those lows as well to keep an eye on. Here's that pivot low that I had, 698. So if we could get on the 5-minute time frame, guys, right here, our selling candle. So I would want to see a strong close to the downside, along with, look at the volume that's starting to pick up here too. This might be for a pretty good short setup for a scalp to the downside on kids. Let's take a look at Apple. Looks like Apple dumping out the gate. We'll take a look at Apple.
Oh yeah.
Oh, big drop right there on Apple. I'm curious to see what equities ES is doing, because I had this long position area down here for a potential long. Now that would also be calls on the SPY near that 563 area.
Based on the April price action, I think $200 is going to, the $200 psych level is going to come into play here pretty shortly.
Let's see.
Looking at it, starting even with when we had Liberation Day, April 3rd, we got a low print of 201. The following day, the high print was 199.88. April 9th, high print, $200.61. You see a lot of these wicks just kind of hovering right in that area all through April.
Right. Yeah, we had don't forget, we did have a gap down on these earnings from Apple. Apple had a double beat, but still had a gap down. So it's something to keep an eye on. It was near the high of the range. And remember, I was talking about the price action, how we were green for 6 days in a row, breaking previous day highs, closing green, and yet price felt like it moved nowhere. NVIDIA is up 3%. Let's take a quick look at NVIDIA. So this is sort of what I talk about when I say looking for large cap stocks to trade together. Apple's selling off right at the open, and it looks like NVIDIA is pumping right at the open. So if I was looking at ES and NQ, I'd probably be patient and wait for them to really line up together.
Possibly a lot of rotation within the Mag 7, going from the weaker ones into the stronger ones. So NVIDIA, maybe Microsoft is getting a little bit of a lift here. Let's take a look. Microsoft up, yeah. And with those earnings from Apple, they announced an increase in their dividend and additional
100
repurchase.
billion in buyback.
Yeah, and that we were talking to one of our folks who joins the happy hour, who's a former analyst, and based on his experience, he was saying that sometimes when they do these large repurchases, it's an indication of lack of confidence in
Oh,
in the stock going higher.
I see what
Of
you're
course,
saying. Like,
yeah, and when we were going through this report, we were noticing that a lot of these year-over-year figures for their different segments, so like their iPhone, their home wearables, accessories, things like that. Not really big changes year over year, but the one that had the biggest was a big change year over year was the services revenue, which made us think, well, if that's the case, we could probably be seeing a lot more consumers trying to have their products repaired instead of buying new ones. So that could be an indication of the weakening consumer theory.
that's interesting. It's a good thought. Thank you, 13 for that, guys.
Sure.
Hit that like button if you learned something today so far. We've only been live for an hour and a half, and I feel like we have been killing it. We still got another hour and a half to go. Absolutely love it. Run that like button up. Appreciate you all for tuning in. And join me next Wednesday for Futures Fever for a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. FRGT going. What's going on? The Crow. Good morning. Good morning. FRGT. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, he's in this one. He said it got the price action today showing us that there are some sellers really starting to step in at about 380. Looks like maybe be 370 to 380. They really start to step in. That's what the pre-market's been telling us. 383 is the current pre-market high. Looks like the MACD's trying to curl here. Let's see if we end up taking out those sellers at 370 to 380.
Yeah, guys, we do have a fib. This is the one that I drew my fib tool up. So I would want to see a pullback on FRGT before an entry, right? Because we always want to buy the low, sell the highs. Careful buying the highs up here, right? Because we don't know if we're going to continue. Market just opened. It's only 9:36 right now. We have just one 5-minute candle going for us. So we got a little time. We can let things play out. Fibonacci wise, I would look for support near 220. Remember, I had 220. But we would look for some continuation. We have somebody asking, what's going on, Benjamin? How's the volume? Dance or no dance? Well, we're getting a little cha-cha over here and a little cha-cha over there, but we'll see if we have any follow-through coming with it. All right, let's take a quick look at Wolf, see what's going on with Wolf. Looks like Wolf is up from yesterday's close about 14%.
This is another one that's been
Hey,
moving
thank you, Tom.
well. Okay, so short squeeze. Let's see. This one has a short interest of 64.39%, almost 3 days to cover. I'd say this is probably squeezing, especially if there's no news. I mean, it's probably running on some previous news, but yeah, I think this with that amount of short interest, it's more than likely this is experiencing a short squeeze.
Yep, I'm gonna put my fixed range volume profile from yesterday, from like sort of market open for today to right now. And we see that most of the volume on Wolf is being purchased at these highs. Now, when I see volume matching us at prices at highs, that tells me that not only are we moving higher, obviously, but prices being accepted at higher price levels. So right now, what I would like to see on Wolf is I'd like to see this volume continue. And I'd like to see if we could break above 415, maybe make our way towards that 430 area.
We're getting some big moves here in Pony. This just started happening out of the gate here. Current high 974 after opening under $9. Looks like about 1015 might be where there could resistance might start kicking in. That's the high from Wednesday.
Awesome. Guys, you guys have Paulo today. So, guys, yeah, Paulo, make sure you guys stick around for him. He'll go over some awesome stocks as well. Very exciting day. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. I love that you guys have been running it up since. Really want to see that. I want to see those likes hit 200 today.
Kids is halted to the upside after rebounding off the 750 area. It went as low as 730.
Oh, wow.
Rebounding, trying to take out the 860 resistance area where we were getting that shoulder height from. So when this opens, don't know exactly where this is going to head, but that consolidation from about let's see here, from about 885 to the highs, 1030. there might be a good amount of resistance in there.
I like that. I like the 7 says, "No news, apply the laws of volume."
Yeah.
Yo, guys, check out this daily time frame here on Kids, by the way. So I always talk about time frame analysis, understanding when we're looking and being realistic with looking for a trade. Now, realistically, right, look at yesterday's candle. Very strong move to the upside, met with volume, so people are accepting price at higher levels, followed by today, which opened, gave us our dip, and now it's halted, as we know. But what would make more sense looking at a chart? Let's say we're a week from now and we're looking back at this chart. What would make more sense? Would it make more sense that we pushed higher, we gapped higher, we had strong volume, we gapped higher again, and then we suddenly reversed out of nowhere? Or would it make more sense that we gapped higher, we had volume, we gapped up again, and then had follow through? See, that to me tells me that there's a better chance of follow through for something like this. This is, which one are we looking at here? Kids.
Yep.
Oh,
FRGT looks like we have a bit of a head and shoulders pattern happening here and getting resolved.
Beautiful.
So
Look at that.
Yeah. So this now coming down looks like it's already beneath what we could consider the neckline. I think we might see some better support kicking at about 235 to 240.
Yep. I have mine at 220, so we'll see. That seller on that first 5 minute, so second 5 minute, I should say. Look at the buyer on the first 5 minute. Once we opened on this candle and tried to push higher, it was destroyed. It was wrecked. It pulled back. We got a big reaction pony. Everybody saying pony in the chat. What's going on with our little pony here? Up near $10.20. Look at that big move. Pony's been running today, guys. Pony's one that's got volume behind it and looks good to continue.
Right into that and beyond that 10-15 area from Wednesday.
Yep. Look at that. Yeah, it was right about to say 10-15, this pivot high over here from Wednesday. Beautiful. Our next potential target, if Pony wants to continue, we have 2 more. We have a pre-market. Well, we have a couple more, really. I like this price level right here. Let's see. 11.15. I like 11.15 because if we look left, this is where we found resistance. When we were above it, we were support. So if we could break above this 10.15 with some good strength and volume, and look for us to continue to 11.15. Bit of a same situation. I want to look at that daily time frame, make sure it makes sense. And remember, guys, we did the measurement on this, where if we were looking for a $4 move like we saw on these other daily candles, that would bring us to our next price level near that 11.15, even near this pivot high of 11.34.
Twilio has given back everything it gave in their earnings move, right back down to the beginning.
Awesome. Which one are we looking at?
That was Twilio. Gave back their entire earnings move.
What's the ticker?
TWLO.
TWLO. I did TTLO. TWLO. Here we go. Yeah, look at that. Big move. Took that whole gap up from earnings back lower. Could be rebalancing. Now, guys, look at the current price action we just came into down here on TWLO. This is the 5-minute chart. And something I notice is this wick right here on the 930 candle. The next 5 minute was an inside bar because it failed to break the low or the high. And now it looks like we tried to break the low one more time, but we're trying to find some more buying pressure. If Twilio?
Yeah.
If TWLO does want to hold here, we could possibly look for a reversal back to the upside, or at least towards that opening price. Let's see. Something I would look for, if we could find some buying, is a long position or some contracts down here. Target our open price stop loss near the lows, about a 3-to-1 risk to reward. Guys, it's important to have a solid risk to reward when it comes to trading. Even if you have minimum a 2-to-1, a 3-to-1, what this does is it lets us as traders, whether we're swing trading or day trading, take more losses than wins and still be profitable, which helps us psychologically in the long run.
Kids now, sorry.
Yeah.
No, Kids now open. It popped up to that area we were eyeing as resistance. Not quite exactly where we were looking at, but it did get up to 9 before we started reversing here. Also, Freight Tech heading lower. Pony popped up to 1024, came back in, almost tested VWAP. Now it looks like it's trying to push higher. We'll see what happens there.
Yo, the 7 man, you're funny. I like it. ASTS is ripping, says Ivan. We'll take a quick look at ASTS. Ooh, no kidding. No kidding. Good volume on the follow through too. Let's take a look at our daily, see if we find any price levels. Look at that run up right there. We do on the daily have a little bit of an imbalance right where we are right now. So I'd be a little patient on any longs up here, right? Because we never want to buy the highs. If we are buying in a bull trend, we want to be buying the pullbacks. So something I'd maybe look for on ASTS right here is this 5-minute candle where we pulled back. So see how we had leg 1, we pulled back. This might be leg 2. I'd like to see if we could come back. This would be considered an order block area. That's where buyers might be present. There's so many people all in on the SMH. Take a look at SMH.
For ASTS, the piece of news that came out late yesterday after the market had closed is that they are going to provide a business update on May 12th at 5 p.m. I don't see any other news that would cause this to move in the way that it is. But this also has significant short interest, so we also may be seeing this squeeze. All the space stocks that we have on our space watch list are up today. This one with the ASTS being the best mover right now.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. That's great. What else we got, guys? EXAS. We got a few people saying EXAS. We'll take a look at that as well. And guys, any charts, anything you guys want to look over, large cap, penny stocks, futures, stocks, ETFs, you name it, we got it. Let's see. EXAS. Look at that. EXAS also finding some buying pressure. I'd be a little careful with this one right here. Volume seems to be lightening up a little bit, but we are at these new highs. FRGT is knifing. If you're holding, cut your bait and get out. Ooh, I want to see where FRGT is. I'm pretty sure that's the one I was looking for 220 to hold as support. EXAS, I do want to see real quick if we do have any price levels for anybody that is holding this or that's in it.
They got
guys, right? What's that?
XIII has got news. That's I think why we're seeing this this move here this morning.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Let's check now the 5 minutes. So I have a price level at 54.69. So we still do have a little less than $1 ways to go there.
So Exact Sciences, they did report earnings yesterday. Analysts stepped in, started giving some price targets. The company did raise their guidance. So looks like they have quite a few good things going here for them today off their earnings report.
Very good. Pony made it over 1050. We'll take a look at Pony real quick, and then I want to see FRGT. No, not FGD or FRGT.
Yep.
Geez, what a mouthful.
I was getting asked about SQQQ to see if it was safe to go in there. One of the things we've been doing here lately is trading directional ETFs when some of these smaller momentum movers aren't providing the trades. We just like to go into something that's a little bit safer that that we're only going to be in for the day to provide some trades for us. And one of the things that we've been watching for is when the TQQQ is extended away from its VWAP to the downside by $1.50. That's typically a very good time to go long. Similar to the SQQQ, we are looking for an extension away from its VWAP from about 115 to 125. And looks like in the pre-market, the low that we got before we started this turnaround here was at 28.82. At that time, the VWAP was 29.43. So not enough to really, at least for me to want to go long. It is starting to rebound here. It did print the same low, almost the exact same low that it did yesterday. So there could be a potential trade here. Per that rule, I wouldn't have jumped in it yet. I want to see a little bit further extension away from the VWAP before I get into this. But if it bounces here, it bounces here, and I just won't be in it. But I just don't want to break that rule that I have for, especially when it comes to SQQQ. This thing, this thing will reverse split itself into oblivion if you hold it.
Guys, I'm looking at ES, which would be the SPY right now. This is the area I wanted to see us hold as support earlier, and then we'll bring back Benzinga Pro as well so we get our scanners up, our movers up. but I wanted to see if ES could hold this area. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I like to look at equities when I'm trading ES and NQ. So I'd look at maybe something like, let's see. So the other screen I have available, let me just change the screen layout, apply to all. I have on another monitor, I have all my equities. So I could see is Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, Amazon, they're all bearish right now except Microsoft. Therefore, I would not take this long trade right here. I would want to see buyers try to continue or reverse on equities in order to find momentum to the buy side on ES and NQ. So let's see. Let's pull up some
Pony with a high of 1080 now.
awesome.
What was your target you were looking for in Pony?
I believe
Was,
it was near there. I have
yeah.
let's see, I have 11.15 on Pony. So we
Okay, yeah.
broke above that 10.16, 10.15 area, looking pretty strong. FRGT, I want to see FRGT because that one was coming real close. Look, it's at 284 right now. It tried to push into my fib area. It did not get that entry yet. I'm staying patient. I'm not in any trades myself. Uber is strong. Take a quick look at Uber. Guys, spam that like button. We're getting there. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
13
Oh,
printing
thanks.
on Microsoft. Nice, nice.
Yeah, I've been a long time holder of Microsoft. I bought it during the pandemic, and just I've sold a tiny bit since then, but I've also added. Last time I added was in 22. But yeah, I'm in Microsoft for the very long term. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's great. And I was looking. Oh, yeah. What a gap up on Microsoft from those earnings. And again,
Yeah.
Microsoft was our only large cap equity at this moment that was holding somewhat bullish. Take a look at this right now on the ES, right? Now, I always look for my time frame analysis to line up with my trade setup. This 5-minute we just had was too bearish. I would not go long here. I would wait till I get a rejection candle to take a long entry. LLY, please. Absolutely. Yo, you got
Eli
it,
Lilly,
Tony.
they're having a good day, up 4.3%. Let's see here. We already started getting some movement with this company when we had the announcement of those deals regarding the GLP-1 semaglutides with Hims, Weight Watchers, and there was one other company that was a smaller name. We traded it earlier this week, couldn't remember it, but yeah, this has been having some really good movement off their announcement of their drug distribution.
Yep, this looks good. So something I'd be careful though with Lily right now, guys, LLY, is we're on an inside candle right now. Now, yesterday we had a strong gap down and continuation, which tells me the volume was following through with the selling pressure. So right now, yes, it did gap up from its close yesterday, which is usually a bullish sign. I would really be careful to see where we're at. I wouldn't touch, in my opinion, I wouldn't touch LLY right now. It's too indecisive. I always say when I'm teaching people, if you're looking at the market and you're not seeing obvious clues that say we're in a bull trend, we're at a Fibonacci holding, we broke a previous day high, if you don't have things adding in your favor, you're gambling. You're not trading anymore. You're gambling. When we're trading, we want to find higher probability setups. We want to see things in our favor. When I see an inside candle like today's candle on LLY, that's automatically making this a 50-50 trade in my opinion, and it is no longer a trade I'm interested in. When I take a trade, I know I can't be 100% on direction. Nobody ever will be, and if we have those expectations, we're going to get smoked. But I want to look for 70%, 80% probability because I know previous day high broken, new demand zones form. These things line up and coincide with each other. PLRZ is trying to get over $1. If that happens, it's either a major knife or it's going to launch. All right. Yo,
Speaking
Brett,
of,
it was nice meeting you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it and hope to see you guys next time. Guys, don't forget Wednesdays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern for Futures Fever. I host that show. You guys get to trade with me and David Green and Peter Tuckman.
Take care, Brett. And speaking of probabilities, 7 figures, I'd say it's a very high probability that Ryan will have the day off tomorrow as well.
I think we all do.
Yes, we do. It'll be a nice weekend.
There we go.
Do you have plans for the weekend?
I don't think so. Probably not. Maybe put some videos together. I don't think I have any one-on-ones, so probably a bit of a chillax of a weekend, how it should be.
That sounds good. Yeah, after volatile days like this, it's always nice to kind of cool off with a much chiller weekend.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, Sundays, that's when we got to prepare for the week. Producers don't get days off. Oh boy, we got somebody on the back end complain. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Hey, did you bring your?
I gotta say, we have some of the hardest working producers I personally ever seen. So big shout out to the producers, the people on the back end. Love you guys. Benzinga, fantastic platform. It's such a pleasure for myself to be part of such a great community. You guys in the chat, we would be nothing without you. Make sure you run that like button up. I do appreciate being able to cover for Ryan today, getting to trade with you great people. So let's take a look at FRGT. Looks like it's trying to make its way towards that 220 level. We got to see. Now, look at the volume here on FRGT, guys. We are pushing lower, but volume is declining. So that means volume isn't accepting where price is moving to. So if we do find this 220, I'd like to see volume pick up once we hit 220 for my long position. Yo, you guys got it. Pete for sure. Love you guys. All love, always. Let's take a quick look at PLRZ.
One thing I'm seeing here with FRGT is that that might be an indication of strength is that we're starting to get a series of wicks appearing on the bottom of these candles here. So I'm kind of watching to see if that continues, because if it does, it might be an indication of buyers trying to step in and take these sellers out of the equation. Still think we could end up going down to the 65 EMA. I have that valued about 236 right now.
Awesome, guys. Let's take a quick stab at PLRZ. Look at this one's another one that's been ripping since market open. Now it's 9:55. I feel like it was just 5 seconds ago I was saying we've only had one 5-minute candle into the day. But look at this, PLRZ. Look at the volume continuation here. This is what I like to see. There we go. Beautiful. Who called this one out in the chat? Where was it? What was your name? I saw it. PLRZ. Oh, I don't want to see. I can't say your name, but FFS. Good job on PLRZ calling it out, breaking that $1 move. Really good stuff, man. I love to see it. That's what community is about too, guys. It's not just about me or Ryan or 13. You guys are part of the community too. If you guys see something moving, you let us know. We bring it to everybody's attention. And now look at that. All of us are looking at the same stuff. We're able to profit together, make some money together. Just the way a good community is.
So be careful with PLRZ. This has a NASDAQ compliance challenge ahead of it, because they have received notification that they are not in compliance. They're going through the steps to regain compliance. So I see that they have filed to sell ordinary shares. They're going to be trying to raise capital that way. Looking at their financials, certainly seems like they're going to need to. I don't know what kind of income they have. Don't have a read on that, but only $2.5 million in the bank. And this is a biotech company. That's likely not going to be enough to do clinical trials. Also, they are executing a 1-for-10 reverse split on May 5th. So it could also be moving on that. So you have a number of different recompliance measures they're taking here. Could be the reason why this is getting going here.
Yep. Guys, I'd be careful with this break of $1 on PLRZ, because it just broke that dollar. A lot of people are going to be watching it. A lot of people are going to be expecting this breakout. And when we get that, a lot of people census in the market, a lot of people tend to be those retail traders, not the institution with the volume and power to really move it. So I'd be careful that we don't break this dollar and maybe reject off of like 112 or something. The last time we could see 112 as a possible target. We could extend this to the left to see how price reacted to it in the past. Is it a strong, valid level? It's okay. It's not the best. I think I'm going to be moving this one down. Wisdom, yo, you got it. Absolutely. Does IBO have news? We could take a quick look. Let's check our news feed tab. See if anything came up recently. We have OLN. Yeah.
No, Kids Halted. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, Kids Halted again.
Yep.
We're having too much fun with the kids today. All right, let's see. IBO have news. We can take a quick look at our news. OLN, Reddit, FLR, CPS, TNMG, all of these having news on the left-hand side over here if you guys want to take a quick brief look. Over here, we have more stock-related, market-related news, SPY, things of that nature. Let's see.
I don't see any news in IBO. The last headline print of anything I have is from Tuesday, April 8th. What's this? Just looking to see what this company does. Maybe there's a relationship trade that's causing this to move. Open air defense initiatives, which curb transmission of airborne infectious diseases.
Here we go. Here's our price target on PLRZ, guys. I would have $1.20 per share. If we're looking to our left, we have our range between 87 cents and $1.20. We stayed in that range on the daily time frame over here from November 5th, 2024 to December 17th, 2024 for over about a month and a half. Broke out of that range, tried to hold it as support, broke back within that range, and now we're back trading again in that range. So I would look to see, we would buy the lows, sell the highs, right? So if we could find some support here, that would be great. But trying to take this breakout of $1, breakout trades could really hurt you guys, because what happens is you try to take the breakout and a lot of other traders are trying to take breakouts too. So what happens is markets pull back after a possible breakout, people stop out. And what happens when you get stopped out? It goes in your direction right after. So we want to wait. Be extra patient. If you think you want to enter here, guys, a good psychological trick to do a pretend entry, do a pretend trade. Whether you use a tool and you want to put an arrow where you think you would enter the trade, that could help you, because then when you're journaling your trades later, you could say, okay, wow, being patient helped me get a much better entry. Or over time, let's say you were too patient, you could say, okay, I was a little too patient on this. It was a little too conservative. I think I should be a little more aggressive towards my entries. And that's all going to come from trial, error, journaling, and creating your system.
Seven-figure wannabe, no news, no volume, no dice. I believe you're referring to IBO, and I think I agree with you there. If this does continue to go on a run here, I think the level that I'd be wanting to be very cautious for is going to start at about 115 and maybe go as high as 125. I'm looking at a daily chart, and as I look to the left, we're coming up to some really interesting previous support levels right about there. We lost all that support in March. Tried to recapture it, failed to do so. I think we're going to want to be cautious if the price does get back over $1 and hit those 115 to 125 areas.
I'll tell you what level I really like for potential buy entry on PLRZ is the 75 key cycle level right here. So I threw up my volume profile and I set it to today's session. And the first thing I see is point of control is way down here at 53 cents. But then I also see we have our low volume shelf. Now, this is where we find our imbalances. These are low volume shelves because the market wasn't given the opportunity to fill this with volume. So what happens a lot of times is these low volume shelves work as a magnet for price to rebalance or get the opportunity to rebalance or fill any unfilled orders and continue. So don't take breakouts. Wait for the breakout. Wait for the pullback and enter on the pullback, guys. Breakouts more likely than not will end up failing on you. Let's see. Trying to find our long position tool. So this is sort of what I'd be looking for here on PLRZ. Be looking for 770, 75 area for an entry. And I would like to see some buyers continue. This is almost a 4-to-1 risk to reward right here. So we're going to see. We'll see how we react. We'll see how volume wants to step in there. And we'll see if we get the ball rolling, guys. Any other stocks, any other tickers? What are you guys trading right now? Is anybody in any equities or large caps? You can take a quick look at our equities and check this out, guys. Microsoft is still rallying. Tesla was trying to move lower. NVIDIA trying to find support. I'm sure if we look at equities now, let's see. Look at this, right? So look, I said I would wait for a 5-minute reversal candle. We got the 5-minute reversal candle off of VWAP and off of my zone. Now it looks like ES will want to continue to a new high a day. And that would also be the SPY and S&P 500 as well, guys. So I am looking for some buyers to continue here. Hey, Macerin, I appreciate that. Appreciate you always trying to bring our best, you know?
Twilio, after hitting the print before it had earnings, has rebounded now. So we get back everything it made after the earnings print, rebounding off that looks like the 98.50 level about there. Coming back up now over $101, looking for a 102.
Awesome. I got a please small health check on CCLD. What's going on, Ivan? We'll check on CCLD. I like that it's trying to find some continuation here. I don't like the failed volume here. So the volume isn't meeting the buying here. So what we would see at this point is we could potentially look for a squeeze, and that squeeze would sort of consolidate us on this $2 price level and then pop us to maybe 220, 240. Or we fail and volume continues to fail and we move back lower again. So I'd be careful on CareCloud right now. Check the 15-minute time frame, look back at recent days, and mark out recent highs and lows, and see that every time we hit these highs, 189, we rejected lower. So now that we're above it, I might look for a retest of that 189 for us to move higher. Awesome. Yo, bum baby, I love it. Knowledge here is priceless. I'm glad we could bring some good knowledge to you guys. Whether we're taking live trades, making some money, or dropping some knowledge, it's our goals. All right, let's see. QQQ. Somebody asked about the Qs. I mentioned I was just going over the ES futures, which would also be the NQ futures as well. Now, they are trying to hold NASDAQ is near a new high a day, which would also mean QQQ is also near that new high a day as well. So I'd really like to see on this 5-minute at least us continue on higher.
That SQQQ didn't get too high from when we were looking at it. So this is one of the reasons why I want to stick with that rule of its extension being much further away from the VWAP than it was. Want to see, when it comes to SQQQ, we want to see this be extended to the downside away from VWAP at least $1.15 to $1.25. That's gonna be a much better range for you to go long for a trade there.
Awesome. We got a request on DXCM. DXCM is flying this morning. It's at $80 a share right now. It opened up at $75 a share. So we are currently up 7%.
They had earnings yesterday, and then today it's running on price target raises.
Awesome.
That's coverage from some of these companies here. Taking it up. This has 305, almost 306 million shares in the float, so very heavy. A very heavy price structure there. Interestingly, and you tell me if you see the same thing here, Kevin, I think this might be an inverse head and shoulders we have here on the daily chart.
On DXCM?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yep. Like, you see it right away. We have our low, lower low, higher low.
Mm-hmm.
Neckline, probably draw that out like right here. That'd be a major pullback to get that neckline, though.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's not going to happen today, but if this inverse head and shoulder continues to resolve, it could end up going as high as $90.
Wow.
I would think that this might be considered a full resolution of the inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, I agree. I like your $90 price target, right? That's the last point of control that we had up here where we had our highs, but that's not even the stock's highs. That was just our major pivot high, a lower high we formed. If we're able to break that 93.25, we could be in a bull trend. Yeah, that could be a real nice breakout on Dexcom over here, guys.
Now, we with this move today, and even if it does go a little bit higher, I would expect there to be some cooling off. Look at the RSI as well. We're almost at 70. We start getting into the 70s. I think that I consider that to be very, very overbought. 80 is insanely overbought or higher. But this is definitely going to cool off. I would say it at least back tests the neckline, and that would be at least. I would think that'd be probably a good spot for the next trade setup. If we do get that back test, that support's going to be about, what do you think, Kevin? About 75, 76? Pretty much where the open was for this candle today.
Yeah. Let's see. And then guys, we're gonna go over Wolf next. So I have for support. So I'd always look back and see where we were rejecting first, and it looks like our support zone. Yep, 72 to 74. I have.
Okay.
And you had what, 76?
I was looking at 75, 76, yeah.
75, 76. Okay, so 75 is a good one because we got to remember too, key psychological level-wise, 75 is an area that I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of buying participants.
Well, if you draw a horizontal line there and look all through, all the way up to that gap, 75 has been a support and resistance level.
What time frame do you have your trend line?
Daily. Just a horizontal line at 75. And that goes, ever since that gap, it was a support area. And then it looks like in November, late November, it became it was a resistance area, and then in November it became a support area, and then in March it became a resistance area again.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. I see you 13 coming in on that big level. Yes, sir. I like that level a lot. That's a great eye, man. Really great. In fact, I like that level more than the one I saw. So I like that, guys. I like that. Right near our open 70, 76, 75 key psych level. Now I want to cover Wolf for a moment, guys, because earlier we were talking about Wolf, and I was talking about how volume was moving higher, and I was looking for continuation, right? Now, at that point, we were pulling back. So saying, don't buy the highs, wait for a pullback. We got that pullback on this candle, and then we held our point of control. This red line is our point of control. That's where the most volume was traded. We created a new point of control because volume started increasing here, and then we held. Now, if we start to extend our volume profile, we could see volume increases with price increasing higher, and that's what helps us move higher. Any news on Wolf? Great question. Let's take a quick look and see.
It might be Momo, because I think this was also moving yesterday.
It looks like we had news on Tuesday, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, remember, this is also the one that we were saying has really high short interest, so it's probably squeezing. Remember, it's almost 65% of the float shorted.
Yep.
So that's probably what's happening here now. An area that I think that we need to keep an eye on, because this looks to me like it could be a very important resistance level, is 475. If we just take a horizontal line, same thing as that last stock we were looking at, draw a line at 475, look to the left. That was a pretty big support area earlier this year from January to March, and then we had this gap down. Now it's a resistance area. So it went from support to resistance. We even got a rejection. It looks like almost at that exact level, 470 on April 29th. That's where we opened at and dropped straight down. So I think that would be keeping a real sharp eye on the 470 to 475 area as resistance.
Nice. Yep. Yep. That's that last area of consolidation too on the hourly that we rejected. Beautiful. Great range. Great zone.
I mean, you can see it. Look at a daily chart with that level. That's what I'm leaning on.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yep, daily will always find us the higher probability zone. That's a great price level. Look at that perfect support down here. Perfect resistance up here. Yeah, that's a real clean level for some possible targets to the upside or some short positions once we enter it again.
Yes, sir. Looks like PLRZ is still trying to push higher. Just made a new high of 111.
PLRZ ripping.
Yeah, Pony also trying to get going here as well.
Ooh. Damn, PLRZ was so close to our entry point down here, but look at that. So, you know what? If I wasn't using this fair value gap, I would have used this old resistance level because we broke it. And look at how well we held that resistance as support. Mm-hmm. Very clean right there. Very good price action. So that could have been a possible setup right there, but we'll wait. We missed that setup. Got to be real. So we are looking for possible 120 as a target. One contract cover calls on MSTR. Ooh, I'd be careful with any options right now, especially because the uncertainty in the market and everything going on. There's really no clear direction just yet. We had the whole Liberation Day and then the tariff relief situation on this was like Wednesday or Tuesday, the 8th and the 9th of April. And then we were able to get some type of relief. We pushed higher. Now at this point, on MSTR, we went over it earlier in the pre-market, and we saw that we have this area of sellers. Every time MSTR moves into this 404 to 440 range, a strong seller moves us lower, strong seller moves us lower, and this has happened now 1, 2, 3, 4 times, even 5 times here. So we have a very strong area of resistance. I'd really be careful and patient to see how we react. Now, just because we're at an area of resistance doesn't mean it's impossible for us to move higher, right? Because sometimes what I'll see is when we're near an area of resistance, we try to move lower and we fail to move lower, we end up squeezing and popping through it. So if I was waiting for MicroStrategy, I might wait to see us above 450 first and then look for a retest and go long to target 540. But right now, I would really be patient because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. It does follow crypto a lot. So if Bitcoin does continue, that'd be great. What do we have? PLRZ at 118. Look at that, guys. Getting close to our price target of 120.
Yeah, if MSTR does weaken from here, which to me it kind of looks like it could, I think 350 is the spot you could see support kick in. I don't know if it's going to necessarily bounce right there or reverse, but 350 looks like it might be one of the earlier spots. I think the latest area that it could reverse is probably closer to 300, but somewhere in between 300 and 350, I think we're going to see the price come back down into that range before we make our way back over 400.
Awesome. Damn, we're getting close to target on PLRZ. What level is FRGT? That's right, guys. FRGT. Did we get that 220? Oh, it's getting there.
Close.
Oh my goodness.
Getting close. Was that where you're looking to go long, or?
Yeah, I was considering some longs down here on FRGT. 218 price level, maybe stop loss around like 180. But I'd want to see like a 5-minute rejection. See us hold, push higher. Yeah, Michael Saylor, definitely quite a guy.
Need to see this price get closer back up to VWAP FRGT. That's one of the things I need to see here before I go long on that.
Nice. Guys, look at this PLRZ dancing on that 120 level. Oh, yeah. FRG's done for now? I don't know, man. Look at this. Look at the volume we had on this buy candle right here. So we have a strong bullish candle met with good volume. This pullback, I'd like to see it hold, right? So now I'm also going to extend my volume profile because it's a fixed range to here. Now I see my point of control, again, moved higher from here to here. So buyers are accepting price at higher points.
I think he's referring to FRGT.
Yeah, FRGT was the one I was possibly looking for longs, okay. 218, 220 area. But I would be patient, guys. I wouldn't put limit orders out and enter right away. I'd really be patient. Let's just take a look at the daily time frame again on it. And that daily time frame, massive, massive rejection candle. Could see if we ran into any resistance up here. Right now, if I'm looking at FRGT as a stock itself and just looking back, it just screams sell. Right, because we went from highs of, wow, 1,600 to now trading penny stock.
That's reverse split into oblivion.
Okay. I was gonna say because usually the splits they show on the chart, they adjust the charts, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this thing was never printed $8,000. We would have remembered.
Yeah, right.
We would have remembered this one.
We would have known. We would remember a stock that went from $8,000 to $2.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because there are some names that stick out that actually did something close to that, like Luckin Coffee. Who remembers that one? I don't know if you remember Luckin Coffee. No. The ticker was this was back during the pandemic, but the ticker I believe was LK, and this is a Chinese coffee company, and they. There was a report that came out about them. Something that had to do with cooking the books, or CFO was arrested. Something to that effect. But they were misrepresenting their financial position. The stock went almost right down to zero. One of the most massive drops in a company I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Yes, Nikola too. That's another one that was reverse split into oblivion. Absolutely.
Let's see, Jeff Bezos to sell up to $4.75 billion in Amazon stock, guys. So, Jeff Bezos, does he know anything, or is he just, trying to go on vacation and needs the money for his vacation?
Well, actually, I keep track of when he sells because it's interesting how whenever he does start selling, that is usually an indication of a market maybe turning around. So the times that he sold, like back in 2021, in April and May of 2021, he was selling, and then in November that same year he was selling. What happened next year? The market went right down, and it took Amazon with it all the way down to about $80. This next time that he was selling was back in January of 2024 and July of 2024. Looks like he was a little bit early because the stock went on a rally, and now we're back down to those, beneath some of those levels. Not quite down to the level he was selling in February last year, but getting pretty close. So if he's looking to sell, I think that may be another indication that the stock price might be heading lower.
Awesome, and that's Amazon. So let's take a quick look at Amazon, guys. Ooh, Amazon right off, guys, from market open. Amazon rejected my supply zone I had up here for a nice $3 move. We do have demand around 181. Now, we do have to be careful if buyers do want to continue here. We were looking at equities earlier. Guys, check this out. This trade setup I showed you guys earlier that was starting to set up on ES or the SPY, it hit. We had our entry around 56.75. We waited for a 5-minute close like we wanted. It gave us that close with a rejection, and now we're reversing, and we just made new high, almost made new high today. All right, guys, let's see. Pony is galloping away. Let's take a look at Pony.
Yep, it was getting support from its VWAP. You had a series of wicks appearing on the bottom of some of these candles. That is an indication that buyers are trying to step in, lift this higher. Finally got a breakout over VWAP. Here we go. High of the session is 1080.
Nice. Yeah, yo, this looks pretty good. I like how Pony's looking right here on this 5-minute because it closes in less than a minute. And also look at the volume that's starting to pick up here. So volume could increase with price starting to increase. That's what we go to look for continuation. UNH bleeding hard. Very good, guys. Very good stuff. Let's see if we want continuation on Pony up here. FRGT, real close to that entry, man. Now, guys, look at the volume profile that I put up here. We have from the start of our rally to now the end of our rally. Now we have our pullback, and we see that volume. We have our volume shelf from 230 to about 347. We have our point of control all the way at 330, and we have our low volume shelf down here in my fair value gap entry I was looking for. So I'd really like to see if buyers can hold 220, even that $2 level, and push us higher from there. Guys, make sure you hit that like button. Show some love. Hit that like button if you're trying to end the week green. Would love to see it.
What's interesting about UNH, this is getting really, this is getting so close to an area where we might see buyers start to step in. We were identifying the 385 area as a potential buy spot. We were looking at the price action from November of 2020 through October of 2021. That area there, mostly from the 2021 levels, that 385 area was behaving as support ever since it broke through that 385 level in April of that year. So that could be the next strong area of support to watch for.
Yeah. I see that. I'd be careful with any type of long positions on UNH at this point. It's selling off very hard. It's pushing very low. The daily time frame, it really hasn't been showing us any sense that buyers are trying to step in. The few times they did try over here, as we see on the green candles, and look at our volume, the volume was lower on the green days. Then on our red days, volume started to pick up again, so sellers were more active and aggressive. Just learning, how did you find, somebody asked, how did I find my $1.20 level on PLRZ? Let's see. So PLR, what's that?
It's all to the downside now.
Yeah. Oh, it's halted now? Oh, man. Dude, what was it, a cent away? It was at 119. It was 1 penny away from 120. Guys, they're hearing us.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say our live stream's getting too hot. The markets are listening in.
UNH, one thing to note is that this is a very low RSI on the stock. As a matter of fact, this is one of the lowest, maybe not the lowest, but one of the lowest prints it's had in the company's lifetime. There could be a technical bounce coming here pretty soon for UNH. Don't know exactly when that's going to be or what day next week, but I'd have to say soon. It doesn't tend to stay down here for too long.
Yep, very good. Real quick, I do want to cover how I found that 120 level on PLRZ. This is a good teaching session, right? So whenever it comes to trading, we want to look at markets. We want to look at their ranges. Markets range 80% of the time, so it's important to mark out the highs and lows of these ranges. Richard, yo, have a great weekend, man. Awesome trading with you today, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. for Futures Fever. Now,
Take care, Judge.
back to finding our support and resistance. So this was a major, this 120 area, when we're looking at the daily time frame, this 120 was a very strong area that held as a resistance, resistance, and resistance. And then when we were above it, we saw it held up as support and support. So that's what gave me the idea in this zone up here around 120. Then I also had the lows. We have the low of that range around, this is between 87 and 79. That's the low of this range over here. Even the range when we re-entered it over here, it held up as support until we failed it and it held as resistance. So today what happened? We broke that resistance level and then we retested it and we held it as support. So look at that. I think is it back open yet? No, not yet.
Mr. Hamal, I'm not going to try to pronounce your first name. I don't want to be disrespectful, but he's asking if buy at 385 on UNH. If your time horizon allows for it, I don't know that it's gonna I would buy it there for a trade. But if I was gonna, it might be a good spot. But for me, if I was gonna be holding this for a year or longer, 385 is a pretty good spot to start. Picking up positions for a much longer term hold. You're looking at almost a 4-year discount here on the stock price. So I think, and it could still fall further. So, this would be one that I would want to ease into and dollar cost average if I'm going to be holding it for a year or longer. But 385 is a pretty good spot, in my opinion, to start, building a position for a long-term hold.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. And if we're throwing up our fib from our high to the low, right, from the low of this rally from March 2020 to the high of, I believe that is November 2024, we are near that 50% retracement level.
Now, it's, the company's not really well liked right now by the general public.
I wonder why.
You got to keep that in mind. But as a company, if you're just looking at the company and its financials, it's doing well, and it's not a bad company. It just
it's not going anywhere. It just had a little bit of a publicity stunt, we'll call it.
Yeah, and it needs some new leadership. So
yeah.
So there's still some caveats as to what would be the best price to go long, but. If, for me personally, if this goes down to 385, I think that's an enticing price. Because you're looking at like a 4-year discount. We're talking pandemic levels, so I think that would be a good starting point for a long-term position.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, no, it does look good. And guys, remember, we have to measure it also when we're looking for a long-term position. We want to know what are the percent returns we could look for and the percent return against us we could look for. So if we were to buy even right here at 397, and let's say we held it long-term until it got back to those all-time highs, that would be a 58% return on investment right there. Now, let's say you enter right here at 397, you have a stop loss of $20. Then you have a 5% risk and a potential 60% return. So that's also another way to be keeping an eye on your long-term holdings, right? Because for us to move higher on any stock, it requires us to move much stronger percentage. So right here, this 57, 60% to the upside, if I measure it from the upside to the downside, it's only 36% to the downside. So buy and hold wise, United Healthcare might look all right now. I don't think our bottom is in on United Healthcare. I'd be careful. I'd check the sector. I'd check out some other healthcare stocks as well, insurance stocks, companies too. See how the sector is sort of running and see if we have any continuation or momentum. It does have massive buybacks, but as we mentioned earlier on buybacks, we were talking about Apple. 13, what were we talking about on the Apple buybacks? And guys, don't forget, run that like button up.
So, and it's not always the case, but sometimes in markets like this, when a company such as Apple is increasing their share buybacks and increasing their dividend, it can be an indication that the company isn't as confident that the stock price is going to be able to rise on its own, so they'll be buying their own shares. But it's an indication of a lack of confidence in the strength of their growth capabilities for a period of time. So it's one thing to be very, very careful with when it comes to buybacks. And a lot of times those buybacks will be used to help continue a momentum move in a particular stock. So when you think buyers are stepping in, you think in there are other traders, it could be the company itself trying to keep the momentum going by adding shareholder value by repurchasing its shares.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. Guys, do we not bring the best information or what? Between key levels, price levels, potential trade setups, going over what different information might mean, what buybacks mean, what earnings beats, going over everything, company roadmaps. We like to bring it to you live. We like to bring it to you on time and active. Don't forget, guys, follow us on social media as Benzinga. We always try to post any up-to-date news or anything that's breaking news before anybody else does. That way we get ahead of the schedule and make sure you guys are up to date on everything too. We saw Donald Trump just fired Mike Waltz recently.
I thought he was reassigned. He's not in the position that he was in, but they've moved him, I think, to UN ambassador.
Okay.
I think that's what it was, because they're making room for somebody else. But essentially, yes, he did fire him from that position to put him in a new one. Awesome. There was someone had mentioned something here. I was going to address it, and I don't remember what it was now. I'm sorry. Summit. So SMMT. This is I guess we were getting asked why this is moving. They had earnings yesterday after the market closed. They beat the estimates. Looks like they had some outlines on some of their clinical trials. One of which, let's see if I can pronounce this, Ivanishkimab. That's about as good as it's going to get from me. And they are talking about that phase 3 data coming out in mid-2025. So you have a future catalyst here with SMMT on top of the price action that it's giving today. Also has a pretty high short interest of 21.5%. What's funny? What are you laughing at?
I got ET3 in the chat over here saying he must have forgot to check his signal messages about Mike Waltz.
Oh, gotcha.
Man, nominated for another role, but I think it's a graceful way to get rid of him because I don't think he'll be confirmed UN ambassador. All right, very good stuff. Good information. Mark Rubio, I'm pretty sure Mark Rubio will be doing his job in addition to Secretary of State. Very interesting. Guys, it is 10:30. We are wrapping it. Let's see.
No, 10:30. See what we do here. What happens here usually at 10:30 is that we kind of mark this time off as
initial balance.
Well, it's when we start to notice volume start to leave the market. We kind of pin it on traders and fund managers starting to get up from their desks, getting ready to go out for lunch or brunch and start talking about the great trades they had today. So we start to we look at 10:30 as the time when volume begins to leave the market.
Okay, yeah, I agree. That's funny. Same thing. I usually look for around the 11 o'clock time because the first hour of the day marks our initial balance. And when we're looking at things like ES and NQ, NASDAQ, SPY, QQQ, things like that, our initial balance from 9:30 to 10:30 historically only breaks out of one direction 80% of the time. So using our high and low of our initial balance and finding the breakout of that could help us find the trend for the rest of the day. Yeah, Crisp, the 10:30 on Fridays here at Benzinga is cocktail hour.
Mimosas all around.
Yeah.
Gary Morris mentioning that Archer Aviation broke $9. This was a level that we were watching for to get taken out.
Wonderful. Let's see.
So this is an air mobility company. This is one of is a Kathy Wood special. She was investing in this one when it was, I believe, still a SPAC, and now it's on the market. It's no longer a SPAC. This is one of the eVTOL companies that have been getting a lot of attention lately. You have this one. You have Joby Aviation. You have eHang. There's some others that haven't really been able to get off the ground. See what I did there? But this Archer Aviation one has been getting a number of contracts from the U.S. military, from Abu Dhabi. There's another. I think you're going to start seeing these take to the air in my area in Texas sometime later this year for test flights. But this is, oh, and United Airlines is connected to this because they're going to be using their air mobility systems to transport people to and from the airport and vertipads. So Arch Aviation, one of the ones that we were watching for, because we, and I believe that this is probably one of the stronger, if not the strongest, air mobility companies. Still pre-revenue because they're building their manufacturing facility in Georgia. But they have a lot of capital, a lot of investors, and they're looking to start commercial flights, I believe, next year.
Awesome, man. That's cool. Yo, guys, check this out. Pony has been soaring. It broke back above that 1020. It's been pushing higher near that 1080 price level. Now, I had a price target on Pony of 1115, so it's making its way higher. We do have a little ways to go, about 30 cents to go from at this point to that price level. So really good stuff on Pony there. Great momentum. Let's see what else we got.
I got to address this. Jay Rice says saying he has a few longer dated calls on Kodak. Any thoughts on the chart? I got to let you know, Kevin. We've jokingly talked about Kodak because one of the things we observed during the pandemic was Donald Trump had mentioned that Kodak could be tapped for coming up with a vaccine solution for COVID. And because they're a chemicals company essentially, but they do photography. But anyway, as soon as Trump mentioned that back in, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, couldn't remember. It was 2020. The stock has always moved every time he's ever came on and started talking or had a tweet come out. It's one of the most hilarious things that we've observed. Every time that he starts talking, we get movement out of Kodak. So. Jay Rice taking some stab here at this stock. Looking at the price action here, we are we've rounded off some of this selling ever since the pandemic. It's kind of like a nice rounding bottom. We're trying to come back up and recapture 8. To me, Jay, I think that $8 level, we need to start closing above it. Looks like we didn't quite get that earlier this year when we got up to that level. It looks like February we were up there trying to recapture it, could not do that, lost altitude. Now it's starting to look like we're trying to turn around and get back up there. So we'll see. It looks to me like a 8 at the very least 750 might be the level it's trying to go for next, but needs to recapture that 50-day SMA, Jay.
That's great. Guys, it was just sent from the producer. This looks pretty interesting. China's taking passenger drones very seriously. Look at this SUV with an autonomous drone in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
That looks like a Cybertruck almost. And it's funny, too, because they've been coming out with all kinds of different integrated air mobility vehicles that, drive in one mode and then fly in another. I think, I don't remember if it was NIO or BYD that had these arms attached to the roof that you can just unfold and it becomes an eVTOL. Pony's galloping, by the way.
That's crazy, guys. Check it out. FRGT finally hitting my price level. I was looking for 220. So I'm not taking any longs on this just yet. Guys, I'm a futures trader. So obviously, guys, I'm covering for Ryan today, but mainly when I'm not covering, I trade futures. I trade with a community called Bullish Bears. You could join me live every day, bullishbears.com. But I trade futures. So I'm trading the ES, the NASDAQ, crude oil, and gold. So I don't have at the moment a broker account set for day trading penny stocks and stuff, but I do look forward to covering some more streams, maybe having some longer streams throughout the day. Maybe I'll back to back after Ryan does, and I'll get some accounts going and we'll take some trades together. But right now it does look like we're trying to hold this 220 level on FRGT. Might be a possible place for a long position stop. Right now I would have maybe around 185. Somebody asked for the chart of what were we looking at just before?
Pony?
No, not Pony. What's the other one? Kodak.
Kodak. Oh, Kodak. Okay.
Yeah. What was the ticker?
KODK.
Nice. All right. Let's take a quick look at the chart so you guys can see what we're looking at. Very interesting spot on FRGT. Yeah, we'll see. We'll come back to FRGT in just a moment. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, especially if you learned something today. If you learned something, if you're green on the week, hit that like button. Show some love. Got to show Ryan some love, too. He's the best Fortunately, he's on vacation today. I guess he deserves some time off. He works hard for all of us.
I think he does too.
Yeah.
When it comes to pony, I'm looking at a daily chart in my broker, and it's really interesting range here from about 1185 to 12. That might be the spot that this finds resistance at.
Awesome. Guys, on FRGT, I would probably be patient for a 5-minute candle to reject this zone and close green. And then that would be probably my entry point if I wanted to look for some longs here. We are trying to hold it. Let's see some quantum names that are up today, guys. We have ARQQ up 1.67%, Intel up 2.49%, 2.43%, IONQ up 11%, LAES 5%, and RGTI up 11% as well. So guys, taking a look right here, FRGT, it is struggling on this zone. Yeah, you got to get some more YouTube accounts. Keep that like button running up. Guys, we're 30 likes away from 200 likes. I love it. I want to see that 200 before the stream ends. And you guys are running out of time, so you better be quick.
What is the market doing? Are we kind of in a bit of a rally? Because I'm seeing how Bitcoin has kind of broken out here, run up to 97,720. We use Bitcoin as kind of an indicator of how risk on the market is, and this is making me think that some of the movement in these junky names that we're seeing, or some of these volatile names like the drones, the space plays, the quantum names, those seem to start running whenever we have this risk on indicator. So it looks like the SPY is still making some highs here. Just came off the high of the day, which was 566.32. Trying to get back into the 566 handle.
Guys, beautiful. Look at this. This would have been a nice trade too. If you guys were in any SPY contracts or futures contracts, this was a trade that I showed you guys the setup I was waiting for. I said what I was waiting for the entry. It gave it to us. Again, I didn't take this trade because I'm presenting with you guys now. I only have one head, so I could only focus on one thing at a time. And I'd much rather give you guys the much needed attention, learning, and experience that you guys all deserve. So yeah. Look at that. Nice run on ES. Now, I do trade crude oil and gold as well. These are some major markets. Now, gold is a great one to trade, guys, when there's uncertainty in the market. When ES, NQ, they're feeling bearish momentum, gold is a great one to look for buying momentum. When there's uncertainty, people take their money out of stocks and they invest in gold. When there is certainty and people are buying stocks, they withdraw their money from gold, put it back into the market. Let's see. We're getting a request for Pony. Looks like Pony's running up. Let's take a look at Pony, and my
still going.
Chart froze.
It's still going. Looking for that area we just talked about. Looking for 1185 to 12. It's certainly appearing like it may end up going there, but starting to see a little bit of a spread in the price action here. This could create some volatility. Volume also appears to not be as I'm not going to say it, not as strong. They love to start taking a drink whenever I say robust. So apparently the word I overuse here.
That's funny. That's great. Guys, let's see. Any other news, any other articles? We have any other scanners? What's moving right now? FRGT still at the highs. FRGT, so it is in that area. We did hold it. Check this out, guys. We wicked it. We're trying to hold it. I would look to see volume is starting to increase here too. This looks like a possible good spot to buy some FRGT here, guys. Please type in chat where I can follow you. Yeah, guys, you guys can follow me on Instagram as kevin.futures. That should be right below my name over here too. Follow me on Instagram. You guys could go to my website is tradingpioneers.net. I have a whole bunch of free resources there for you guys. I have a free trading journal. It's always important to journal your trades. That way, when you go over your trades, you can see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what you could look to improve on. So check that out, tradingpioneers.net. A whole bunch of free resources for you. Run that like button up, guys, if you learned something today. FRGT is a sucker play. We'll see, man. We'll see. It looks like it's trying to hold right now. If we were looking at that daily time frame, we had a very strong pop right here, right? We had news that influenced this. We moved higher. From open, though, we started selling off. Let's see, 5 minute. Look at this, guys. Buyers are trying to hold this zone right here. Looks okay. Doesn't look too bad. And guys, don't forget, join me Wednesdays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern here on Benzinga for Futures Fever. Me, the Einstein of Wall Street, which is Peter Tuchman, and David Green, both legends in the trading industry. We all host the show. We go over current market conditions. We live trade. It's awesome, guys. Make sure you join, and you also get a free chance to win an Apex Trader evaluation account.
Yeah, Mo, and that's totally fine that you're not taking a position because we don't want to chase. And that's if you miss the entry, don't worry. We've said this many times before. You didn't get the trade, not a problem. The market's going to be open on Monday. There'll be stuff there that we can trade as well. We're going to have more days where we have runners. It happens a lot.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Should have took Pony at 1050. Oof. Yep. Sent buying the lows, sell the highs. Look at that. Pony did hit my key level target of 1115. Remember, we found that level, guys, this morning before market even opened on Pony. Before market even opened, I saw we were opening somewhere over here at that time, at least. And I said, guys, if we're looking for a $4 move on this daily time frame, which we see on Pony, a $4 move on the daily is not unheard of. $4 move there, a $2 move here. This candle right here was also a $3 move. Wasn't unheard of. We had volume. We had a nice break. And we broke this key level, made our way to the next one. Now we are at, let's see, 111.35, which is the next area of resistance. So I wouldn't be looking for longs at this point. Now, in my opinion, guys, unfortunately, I do think this one sort of might run its play. And what I mean by that is it sort of might be done for the day. Volume might start to slow down. We might start to base up here. And we might not get a second leg at that point. So this would have been a pretty nice trade on Pony. Very good stuff today. Great price levels, great targets. Oh, yeah. Do we have FRGT moving down lower? Let's see. On FRGT, yeah, it's trying. Struggling right here. Definitely a good point to be patient on. I'm green, no need to trade. Dude, that's how we end it. Guys, smash that like button if you're ending the week green. I love to see it.
Yeah, a lot of these space plays are doing really well this morning. Yeah, if you're green, there's no need to chase. The market will be open on Monday. We'll have more opportunities.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Hey, thanks, Richard. You have a good weekend too.
Yeah. That's right. Enjoy your weekend. Don't overtrade to the point that you go into the weekend all aggravated. So let's see, guys. I want to see if we could start holding here on FRGT. We already tried to start holding here, but my only concern is look how bearish the past 1, 2, 3 30-minute candles have been, right? They've all been down to the downside, hasn't really created any wicks. So something I would be concerned and sort of be prepared to look out for is I would want to see if this 30-minute wants to reject back higher, because now we're getting a little bit later in the day. The past 30-minute candles were all suggesting bearish. I would want to see a reversal on our 30-minute to push us back higher. So we'll wait on FRGT here. So far, no entries right now. Okay. Let's see.
Only Trump's going to save this thing. It looks like as soon as he comes on and says, "Hey, buy my coin," then Freight's going to be like, "Oh, hey, we're doing that."
Buy my coin. I'm glad he's really looking at what's important right now. His coins. All right, guys. Any other ticker requests? You guys please let me know. SDM new IPO resuming in about a minute. Let's take a look at SDM. Now, because it's an IPO, I'm going to assume we don't have any price levels to work off of, but we do have volume and we do have a little bit of a break here. So looking at the 30-minute time frame, wow, this IPO today. Yeah, personally, guys, I would not trade anything that came out that same day. Because talk about uncertainty.
This is just a halt fest all morning.
Yeah, right.
I have no idea where this is going to go, but once you start getting that reversal, that's probably going to be your indication to hold off for a bit.
Yep, Pony with a John Wick candle. Now, I'm sure you're referring to this one right here. Now, guys, got to be aware, right? It looked like it was rejecting this price level, but the momentum we've had has been to the upside.
Who called it a John Wick candle? Oh, STFU. I love it. I've called it those, topping out candles John Wicks before because they have the long upper shadow, the wick.
Yeah.
Kill everything around it. But this still pushing higher. Just put a new high in 1149, trying to take out this wall of sellers at 1150. They're chewing through this their price structure right now. 74,000 shares is hanging out there trying to prevent upside. They're hitting it, but they're not doing much damage right now.
Awesome. Guys, we have the one and only Paulo coming up soon. I think, do we want to bring him on now?
If you guys want to do that, we can move on, and I
Or we
can
wait till
say,
11? I know I'm covering for Ryan today, so I just want to make sure everything's good. We'll wait till 11. All right, Paulo, you're going to
okay.
chill around. Guys, make sure you hit that like button to welcome Paulo on. Get prepared, get hyped. I'm excited, guys. Guys, we've had some great setups today, some phenomenal price targets. Price targets hitting across the board. We had Pony with a price target hit. FRGT trying to hold. Now, again, I said I would be patient, really wait for a 30-minute candle here. And let's see, what else do we have? We have Kids. Kids was moving earlier.
Yeah, Kids looks like it's trying to turn around. It has some work to do. I think if it does continue to move up, you're probably going to find resistance around 750. That's about where the neckline was from this head and shoulders we identified earlier.
Kids isn't loading for me on Benzinga Pro here. So let's take a look at Wolf, see if Wolf is giving us anything as well. Now, guys, Wolf is in my area of interest. Again, another key level price target we were looking at hit. We look at the daily time frame. I'll show you how I found that price level. I think this is actually the price level that 13 pointed out earlier, right? This near $5 was a low on the daily time frame. We held as support 3 times until we finally broke below it with a gap, and then we rejected it to the downside once, and I'd look for sellers to step in now too. So while we're pushing into it and people are buying new high a day, this might be the point that we find some rejection. So I wouldn't look for any longs. I wouldn't be buying the highs. I'd be really patient when it comes to something like Wolf here.
Do you use, when you trade, do you use like a price ladder or a matrix? I know that they have different names for it, but it shows you like the price.
The depth of market.
Yeah, and they will typically show where the buyers and sellers are, where the bids and asks are at.
Like this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that level 2 data I have for both the ask and the bid. There's a lot of sellers, a large number of asks at 480. So I think that's, if we're gonna have to see a large amount of volume if we're gonna get over 480 to take out that seller. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here with this level 2 data.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. I like that. Yeah, guys, level 2 volume analysis, time and sales, depth of market. These are volume tools to help see what the volume bars aren't telling us. Volume bars only tell us one thing, and that's how much volume was traded in that time frame. It doesn't tell us how much volume was traded at a specific price level. It doesn't tell us if that volume was bullish or bearish. It just tells us how much volume was traded in that time frame. So when we use things like time and sales, level 2, depth of market, this shows us more in depth of how many buyers are there, how many sellers are there. Are there passive buyers waiting anywhere? Are there passive sellers waiting anywhere? And that gives us an advantage in the market.
Ivan, people do day trade IPOs, but take a long position for a long-term trade. I'm kind of right there with you. You just don't know enough unless you have insider information.
Yeah, which then you shouldn't trade anyways. They will find you.
Yeah.
Look at this, guys. Look at this. I just said watch Wolf for rejection up here near this 470. This is my resistance level. Boom. Very strong move. People trying to buy these highs. Is Wolf the one that you said looked like a lot of sellers hitting the tape?
Yes.
Look at that.
A lot of sellers right up at that 480.
That's awesome.
We've got a print of a high of 476.
Wow.
Really, really quick with SDM, that IPO we were talking about, that unhalted, ran up to 996 and halted again. So still, doing its halt fest. At some point, this will turn around and begin to knife hard. We'll get a halt with that too, I'm sure. But that's going to be your indication that you might the party might be over for SDM.
Very good. Very good. Well, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Wolf to see if we could continue lower as well. Let's take a look. What was I going to show? So somebody asked, could you talk about trading futures versus SPY trading? This is a phenomenal, fantastic question. And Buzz, you're somebody that I would definitely recommend. Come join me on Wednesdays at 11:30. Me, the Einstein of Wall Street, Peter Tuchman, and David Green. They have 40 years of trading experience each. 40 years each. And we go over futures markets, and we go over what Apex Trader Funding is. They're a prop firm that gives retail and new traders the opportunity to trade futures markets without putting your own capital at risk. You guys could use discount code FFEVER for Futures Fever to get a 50% off on your evaluation account. But definitely join me Wednesdays on that. So the difference between SPY and ES is that when we're trading futures, we're trading the ES, we're trading futures contracts. We're no longer trading options contracts. So on SPY, if we were looking for calls, and as we see, the price action is identical, right? It's the same. They mirror each other. Both of them resemble the S&P 500. So if you were looking for calls on SPY, you could also chart the ES futures as well. So over here, this would have been a long position on ES around 56.75, target around 5700. On the SPY, it would be a call option, and you could get whether the 564, the 565, the 566 strike, whatever the strike is that you go for, and you would buy calls and hold to your price target, which would be new high of day. That's really the difference between them. Now, with options, you have to worry about different Greeks. You have to worry about theta, delta, vega, gamma, and these all impact how your options contract is priced. Now, that's big because what happens is, let's say you enter calls here on ES, or on SPY, I should say, and price chops around for an hour and you have 0 DTE, which is 0 days to expiration. That contract is going to dissipate and lose tons of money because of theta decay. So with futures, if you entered right here and the price went sideways, it could go sideways for 3 hours. Your price doesn't change. All that matters and all that changes is the ticks and dollar move. So 1 point on ES with one ES contract is $50. Whether you buy ES at 56.75 or 5700, it's a $50 move per point. Now, you could also trade MES. That's the micros. That would be MES, MNQ, MCL, MGC. Micros are 1/10 of the size. So instead of $50 a point, it's $5 a point, and you're able to trade more contracts so you could scale in and scale out. Let's see, guys. Big rejection on Wolf here off of that 470 area. Any other prices or any other stocks you guys want to cover before we bring in the one and only Paulo?
So kids, that looks like that's trying to start turning around. I still think 750 is going to be an area of resistance that could reject this move up, but it's coming up to VWAP. Let's see what happens there at 750 if we get that rejection or not. Pony, that got up to 1150. Looks like it's starting to go sideways. This might start to roll over here. So if you did well in Pony, thank it and maybe move on. That's what could potentially happen here with Pony. Maybe there's a little bit more in it, but I think this is starting to weaken a bit. FRGT, that looks like it could end up going down to 2, maybe lower. What else? Bitcoin. Okay, so this just broke out. Bitcoin just broke out of this 97,730 level, and we are trying for 98,000 now. This might continue to go here. I have it might hit 100,000, to be honest, and I think that could be a rejection or a site of rejection.
Bitcoin, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it looks like it could do that. It's only about a little more than $2,000 away.
Yeah. 100 key psychological level, 100,000, right? A lot of people look at that level and say, oh, once we get back 100,000, I'll feel safe to buy it again. But just like 13 said, with so many people having that mindset, there's a better chance and probability that we break it and then sell off again. And instead of trying to take the breakout and getting stopped out on the sell-off, wait for the breakout, wait for the pullback, enter on the pullback, guys. We never want to be buying the highs. We never want to be selling the lows. It's always about trend trading. Let's see. This was our Fibonacci on Bitcoin from its last pivot low to its high, and it held that 78% very well. Let's see. I would have Bitcoin up right now on this chart. Here we go. Mara is soaring right now, but Benzinga Pro's freezing up on me a little bit here. FRGT, guys, at 9 EMA on the hourly. FRGT did end up moving lower. Let's see if we can bring that up real quick. FRGT. So check it out, right? I had my zone between 217 and 157, a very large zone, but we had the low volume shelf there. So again, I mentioned I wanted to see a 30-minute reversal candle. The 30-minute candle closes in 2 minutes and 9 seconds. So if we don't break back above on the 30-minute candle here, then there is no long entry that we should be taking on FRGT. Gold, not always the case. Yep. Got to be careful with gold. Let's see. SMA. Oh,
SCFU. I have to think that that's the case. I have to. Everybody's like, oh, I'm buying at 100,000. It's going to go. Okay, here we go with SDM. We're starting to finally get our red candle here. I think this is going to be the start of some of this downside price action. We'll see if that's what we end up getting. Had a nice unhalt, popped up to over 12, starting to look like there's some sellers stepping in here. Awesome. Watch it just continue to push higher.
Yeah, right. Say one thing, market does the other.
Take care, Buzz Lightyear. And as a matter of fact, it's about, hey, thanks, Tom. You take care as well. I think it's about that time where I got to start signing off with the next guest come on in here. So, Kevin, it was a great time trading and talking with you. Hope everybody had a great time with Kevin and 13 on a Friday where Ryan was taking vacation. Folks, I'm having a great week. I'm going to go have a great weekend. I hope you all do the same. I'll be back here on Monday. So, Kevin, take care, man. Have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna go enjoy my weekend.
Awesome, 13. Have a great weekend. So great to have you today. What a great session.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. I'll see you later.
Take care, Buzz. Take care, Tom. Guys, make sure you hit that like button before you sign out. I do appreciate all the support. 13, thank you so much for all you do. And now we're bringing on our next guest, Paulo. What's going on? Welcome.
Hello, Kevin. How is it going?
Hey, it's going good. How are you?
Thankfully, all fine. Can you hear me correctly?
Perfect.
All right. Okay, so let me share here my screen. And there we are. So nice to meet you, everyone. I see here in the chat room, we have many members from our last week. So thank you for your attendance, everyone. And we are about to start. All right. Okay, perfect. So for the ones who already know me from last Friday, I'm Paulo de Cruz. I work as a technical analyst for Trading Made Simple, and I'm also in charge of the morning live trading sessions every day, 1 hour once the market open. So today we have a 30-minute slot, and we are going to resume our technical analysis that we actually started last Friday. Additionally, we are also going to see some potential plays for next week, some potential important trades I do think might develop very profitable for next week. We're going to see some of those top picks. And also, I would like to do some requests. I see here that last Friday in the chat room, many members were requesting some tickers. I did miss that on last Friday. It was my first day here, identifying how where all windows were. So if anyone would like to request any ticker you would like me to see, we're going to divide this session on 3 segments. The first one is going to be our broad market analysis. The second is going to be my top plays for next week. And our third one could be members requesting tickers. We're going to run technical analysis using many methods, such as idiot weight, Fibonacci, support and resistance indicators to spot some potential plays for next week as well. All right, so let's start here, and we are going to start with the S&P 500. Let me increase this one. And this is what we have. So for the ones that were here last week, we remember we were looking at these macro idiot wave structure that we actually have, in which we could be about to start a potential final 5th wave higher. All right, so let's first resume with this one. So from the COVID lows on 2020, when the market actually dropped somewhere around, let's check exactly how much was this drop. 1 second. I think it was 36. Yes, 35.41% from this crash, in which the RSI hit the weekly lows here. We started a strong recovery, which of course can be subdivided on an impulsive 5th wave higher here for the S&P 500. Of course, as we know, that brought us our 2022 bear market with a 5-point corrective wave pattern, in this case labeled as WXYXC. And that, of course, when we were retesting here the lows on our ascending structure that goes all the way back to 2018. This is a 6-year structure. We started our bull market here, the 2023 into 2025 bull market, also known as the AL bull market. We started again our 5-wave corrective pattern. So the market is fractal, and that means that stock patterns, right, Elliott wave patterns, candlestick patterns, they can develop on smaller time frames, as we can also zoom out into bigger time frames, and we can also see these patterns or maybe different patterns developing, but they are all attached, right, because the market is fractal. So keeping in mind, this is one impulsive wave, a corrective, another one. We could also zoom out a bit here, and we could view this all as a 5-wave Elliott wave count. So such as this one, it has a 5-wave, 3 impulsive waves higher with 2 corrective waves. This is what we have. 1 higher, 2nd corrective, 3rd higher, 4th corrective, 5th higher. All right. So this all looks like also a wave 1. Then we had our 5-point corrective pattern. And then again, 1st wave higher, 2nd corrective, 3rd wave higher, 4th wave corrective, and final 5th wave higher. Then we had here another corrective wave. And if we apply that fractal characteristic to our market, we would be having 1st wave higher, 2nd wave higher, 3rd impulsive wave higher, 4th wave corrective wave, 4th wave lower correction, and then I would be looking for that potential final 5th wave higher, which could potentially bring the culmination of the post-pandemic bull market. And then we're going to see some potential downside price targets for this whole post-pandemic bull market. So what is the confirmation, all right, that can let us know if this Elliott wave count is actually going to be valid or not? Because technical analysis can be invalidated, it can get outdated, such as fundamental analysis, right? We do forecasts, we do projections based on future events, on future levels we're expecting to hit, but that doesn't mean that charts are unbreakable. Of course they can. And as technical traders, as investors, we have to remain very cold, very objective, to realize when our analysis is actually invalidating the levels we currently have. So in this case, my confirmation level is actually 4,800. And why is it 4,800? Because one golden Elliott wave rule is that wave 4 correction cannot break below wave 1 high. That doesn't mean we cannot revisit this and maybe chop around here, but we should not breaking way below our wave point high for an Elliott wave count to be corrected, to be correct, yes. So in this case, if this would be that macro Elliott wave 5-wave count higher, in which we would be on a corrective wave 4, wave 1 highs would be located right here at 4,800. And we can see the aggressive bounce on basically the line in the sand level for this potential Elliott wave correction. All right. So while we remain above 4,800, I would understand this corrective pattern is currently working on here for the S&P 500. So now the key question is, are we just hitting all-time highs right now, or might this actually take a bit longer to develop? I know with what we're seeing today, it kind of feels like we're going to hit maybe all-time highs, in the next couple of weeks. But personally, I would not be expecting that final 5th wave higher, I'm sorry, like a straight line forever. This would definitely not be my initial bias. I know how it feels seeing the market go higher and higher without any potential resistance, but I would like to show you this. This is, of course, just forecasting potential projections. If we would be to develop, all right, a similar scenario we saw in 2023, 2024, let me actually drag this Elliott wave count and let's simulate it if we would have already started it. So we drag it here. 1 second. There we have it. And what we see, it's actually quite interesting, because what we're seeing is that our structure from the 2023-2024 bull market actually fits perfectly into our longer ascending channel structure. We even have a perfect bounce on a revisit from support, kind of rejection, you know. Let's now, still, I would like to mention about this one that the 2023-2024 bull market did had an accumulation phase here. So I wouldn't be expecting this wave one to be that extended. I think maybe we could get something similar to what we had on 2020-2021. We had a more aggressive first recovery. Then we had the corrective wave four. And we can see how this one still fits. So I do think we are about to start a bull market, maybe, well, where we are now, it's not that hard to believe. Where we were on the beginning of April, yes, of course, that seemed much harder to actually keep in mind, to actually trust, right? But I do think we are about to start that potential final fifth wave lower for a new bull market. And I will remain respecting and trading that bias while we remain above 4,800. All right. Still on the Magnificent Seven stocks, we are hitting resistance and we are going to see those. But first, let me go here with the Dow Jones. So for the Dow Jones, we have, again, a similar scenario. We have our 6-year structure. Let me 1 second delete the Fibonacci. We have our 6-year structure with our fracture Elliott wave count, in which we have a first wave lower, higher, which can be subdivided following Elliott wave counts. We have our 5-point correction. We have our third wave higher. In this case, so far, this is a 3-point correction. And I would be expecting something similar if we would be developing a bull market from here. It would still fit our structures here. This one does break a bit higher, but I wouldn't be surprised for the Dow Jones as well to see here another bull market, which could be that potential final fifth wave higher. So for the Dow Jones, I would remain bullish above. Let me zoom in here 1 second. I would remain bullish above 38,000. I think maybe we could still revisit a potential support somewhere around 38,000, but that would currently be seen as a potential buy the dip opportunity. What do we have here for the Nasdaq? Now the Nasdaq is where it does get a bit more suspicious. We're going to see here the NDX, and this is looking a bit dangerous. All right. So for the Nasdaq, we have a similar scenario. We bounced from the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. We didn't actually hit the 200 moving average, and that's something I don't like. I was initially looking at the 200 moving average as a potential buying opportunity, which of course has marked the bottom in the past on 2020, very close here on 2022. I'm sorry, very close here on 2020. But we are back at resistance on the Nasdaq, and the tech sector at least does look a bit here like a potential bear market rally, because this has been an aggressive spike and we have not seen much accumulation on the lows. So even though my initial bias was that we were hitting the 200 moving average prior to earnings, I was starting to adapt into the possibility that the bottom was actually in for the Nasdaq here at the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. And this was going to be a correction in which we actually didn't hit the 200 moving average. But given the fact that we are not seeing we have not seen accumulation here. In fact, we have seen an aggressive spike. This kind of seems like a short squeeze bear market rally, and we are currently retesting what used to be a broken down support trend line now as resistance. And that is a typical technical analysis text move, in which once we break below a certain support level, we reject from it as resistance and we continue lower. It also works to the upside. And once we break above a certain resistance level, right, we retested it as support and then we continue higher. So for the Nasdaq, let's say, for example, the potential bottom could be here. Let me just do this projection. This one does not fit as well as the other ones. Let's see. This one is a bit more closer. This one, the 2020-2021 recovery does look like it could fit a bit more, hitting here resistance. So yes, the indices, they are currently looking like a potential bottom could be in, especially keeping in mind here this volume on Nasdaq. This is signaling here capitulation move. We also have the same for the S&P 500, right? If we zoom out, we can see this volume has usually been a signal of market bottoms. Here we can see this volume. Where do we also see a big spike? We see it here on the volume. This marked the beginning of the 2023-2024 bull market. We can also see here the volume. So what I would be understanding is that this was a capitulation move and the market is ready for it. So when we're seeing the indices, this definitely looks like a bottom could be potentially in. That doesn't rule out a potential retest of support, right? We could have a retest of support in which we actually develop a bull market here, later. Let's say we reach a support and then we start at macro either with count. But when things get tricky is when we revisit here the Max 7, because the Max 7 now after earnings are currently looking like a bear market rally. So my bias this week was I'm going to be neutral this week, and I'm going to take my conclusions once we actually have the earnings report out. I see some members are requesting some stocks. One member is requesting Palantir. Don't worry, Palantir is a top trade I have for next week, so we're definitely going to check it. But if anyone would like to request additional tickers, feel completely free and welcome to just type it there. We are going to check all the ones possible under our schedule. So for Microsoft as well, my initial bias was this, that this is a 3-point correction. All right. Correction, impulsive waves are always 5 points higher. Corrective waves can be labeled differently, but they basically have two potential subdivisions. We have 3-point corrections and we have 5-point corrections. They can be divided with different letters, right? For example, a 3-point correction can be divided ABC or can be divided WXY. Both are very similar. Both look like, and I see we have a question on that. Both are very, very similar and both have like a zigzag. But the difference between an ABC and an a WXY correction is the subdivision. So on an ABC corrective pattern, we have the A move is a 5-wave structure. The B correction is a 3-wave, and the C correction, the C leg lower, that's also a 5-point correction as well. So ABC is subdivided into 5, 3, 5. WXY, they are subdivided into 3 moves. So we have a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, and a 1, 2, 3. That is the reason corrective waves are a bit harder to label. Usually they say that you are able to identify the corrective pattern once we actually ended the corrective stage, because then you can go back and you can subdivide. That is kind of true. It's easy to identify if it's going to, it's easier, better, if it's easier to identify if it's going to be a 3 or a 5-point correction, but the subdivisions under that correction, that can be a bit more tricky. So I would view this one as an XWY, not an ABC, because I do think the subdivisions are better on a 3-point here. So initially I was looking here at a 3-point correction. All right. Yes, we didn't reach the 200 moving average here for Microsoft. We bounced similar to the 0.5, but what I don't like is this spike post earnings. This spike post earnings without any accumulation on the lows kind of looks like an aggressive bear market rally, and we are back to retesting resistance. All right. So thankfully, as technical traders, we do have confirmation levels, which are going to let us know if our analysis is correct or incorrect. So resistance is located at 440. And if we actually break 440 for Microsoft, this would look like a bullish, macro bullish breakout. This would be a macro bull flag. We would be breaking above 440. And then I would be looking at all-time highs for Microsoft. Yes. So if we actually break 440, I would be looking at a potential bull rally to maybe, well, 520, maybe 530, depending when we could be hitting this upper range. But while we remain below 440, given the fact that this kind of looks like a liquidation to the upside, now I wouldn't rule out this possibility. If maybe on earnings we had a negative reaction, and we had here the Microsoft kind of chopping around here the lows, that would have looked like an accumulation, and then I would be maybe potentially discussing a bottom with much more stronger confidence. But with this aggressive move, I would not be ruling out a potential final wave lower. Here for Microsoft, maybe retest finally the 200 moving average. I wouldn't rule out a visit to 340. Apple stock is from Max 7 with Tesla, one that it could have already reached the bottom, even if we have a potential retracement. For Apple, I would be personally looking into a potential higher low. For Apple stock here, we have a more clear 5-point correction. And also, Apple stock did reach its 200 moving average and a 0.6 Fibonacci retracement from all this bull market. So for Apple stock, I do think maybe a potential drop in the market could take us back into the 180s to 190s range. For NVIDIA, it does get a bit more tricky. For NVIDIA, we do have a pennant pattern, triangular pattern. There could be a 5-point correction here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, it's not that clear. It could also still be a 3-point correction, but what is clear is the resistance. NVIDIA has not yet broken this downtrend resistance, which is going to be located at 120. Breaking above 120 would be a macro bullish breakout for NVIDIA, and then I would be discussing a retest of all-time highs or even higher. However, while we remain below 120 for NVIDIA, I will remain at least cautious or even risk off. I wouldn't rule out a potential retest of support in the 90s or even maybe reaching the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement in the lower 80s. For Tesla as well, Tesla is retesting here resistance. So we can see how all the Max 7 are still in resistance, and that's the point. The S&P 500, the Nasdaq, they kind of look like bullish breakouts, right? But Max 7 not. So I wouldn't be so sure on calling a potential bottom, especially on the tech sector, when we are seeing Max 7 stocks still not being able to break above resistance. For Tesla, looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. We could be ready to go for a final 5th wave lower, which could take us all the way back to 180, 190. But if we actually break 290, that would be very bullish. And then we would be successfully breaking above this downtrend resistance. While we remain rejecting here, I wouldn't rule out a potential 5th wave lower here. Meta stock here, and Meta stock is one of my 4 top picks for next week, and I am particularly bearish on Meta, and I will explain why. We have also a 5-wave completed 5-wave correction. As we mentioned last week, my favorite confirmation for Elliott wave is that wave 3 highs has to have a bearish divergence on the RSI between the top of wave 3 and the top of wave 5. So once Meta was here at 750 and looked like the sky was the limit for the stock, we actually noticed here a bearish divergence, which was indicating this is wave 5 and the top could be potentially in for the stock. And of course it was. So what is it that looks bearish here? That Meta, this looks like the first retracement here. So for Meta, this looks like this is all just one wave lower. This would be a 3-point correction in which we would be doing something like this. Also, Meta is the only stock that hasn't broken down on the 0.38 Fibonacci retracement. So after almost a 10x from 80, I think, to 700 and change here, I would honestly be surprised if that was all the correction here for Meta. Just reaching the 0.38 kind of looks like we are ready to have a textbook price action rejection. Once we broke down on a searching support level, we reject from that level as resistance and we continue lower. So for Meta, I would be looking at a potential start of a third wave lower under a 3-point correction. If it's ABC, WXY, that I think we are going to be able to safely label it once we finish it, and we can then subdivide the waves. So far, I prefer viewing it as a 3-point correction. The labels are okay because they let you swing trade correctly, right? If you're looking for a 3-point, you can expect one move retracement and then, for example, short again. If you're expecting an ABC, which has subdivisions on 5 waves, you would be looking at 2 retracements. So that is important to accurately trade, right? Here the microwaves, but still, so I don't like to, you know, to blow my mind trying to spot if what is exactly the labels and the corrections. I personally view them as 3 points or 5 points, corrective waves, right? So for Meta, kind of looks like we're about to short. So this is my number one setup for next week. And next week, I'm personally shorting Meta here. Unless next week we have a gap up and we are above 600, I'm using 600 as my confirmation level, and I'm shorting Meta next week. I would be looking at puts 2 weeks out, potential strike price at 420, 440, maybe 490, depending on premium valuation. I will have to see the cost and premium next week, and I would be shorting here. And I would say Meta remains a great short setup while we remain below 600. Breaking above 600 would invalidate this setup. For Amazon, we have the same. Looks like a 3-point correction in which we would be retesting resistance on a broken down structure. All right. And now let's see if we have any other requests. And I would like to show some potential trade setups as well. One I would like to show here is Spotify. And Spotify is also looking like a potential short setup into next week. What we have on Spotify, first, we have that we are currently, after earnings, very close to retesting here a very macro resistance trend line, which has marked the tops in the past and have not yet been broken above. Additionally, we also have a potential 5-wave completed Elliott wave structure, in which we have, starting on the RSI on the lows, we have a wave 1, then we have a wave 2, then we have a wave 3, and now we are having what could be a potential final 5th wave lower. Remember our confirmation. Our confirmation is that wave 3 here should have that bearish divergence, against Spotify, right? So wave 3 highs, it's located right here. And this potential high, it's not yet a higher high, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do so. Check the RSI. Check it out, check it out. Wave 3 here, right? We're cents above from all-time high here. Check where the RSI, bearish divergence, right? That is a bearish divergence. So this is telling me this is a potential final 5th wave lower. I mean, Spotify hasn't even corrected. Additionally, from that, we notice this volume. This volume, I don't pay attention to the color because the volume actually tells us that institutional money activity is here. And these type of volume, big spikes, usually are pivotal zones. So if we spot a potential big volume, right, on an accumulation phase, I would view it as institutional money buy-in, right? If we spot a huge volume on a macro all-time highs resistance, I would view it as institutional money selling. We cannot know, right? Because we only have the color, and that's not going to give us the answers. But do we really think that smart, big institutional money is piling in with anxiety into Spotify at all-time highs on a structure that goes all the way back 6-7 years? I would really doubt so. So what I do think is that this volume is telling me this is a stage 3 week of distribution. And we are about to start the breakdown. So stage 1, accumulation. Stage 2, markup. Stage 3, week of distribution. Double top for Spotify. And goodbye. So as we can see, there are certain stocks that look like we're about to correct. Max 7 already did one leg lower. Other stocks are already in accumulation stages. But some other stocks, as we have seen, for example, Spotify, looks like a potential short for next week. So we already, we mentioned we're going to see 4 potential trades for next week. First one, we already saw it. It's short Meta for next week. Second one, short Spotify for next week. The another one would be Palantir, and a member requested here Palantir. And for Palantir, I also think this could be a potential 5-wave higher. All right. Initially, if you were here on Friday, you probably realized that I had this count here, which is also valid. It is also valid under Fibonacci and under Fibonacci projections, retracement. We also have the RSI bearish divergence here. We can see the bearish divergence, but with this aggressive move, I do think we're going to kind of do a double top, and I do think we're going to have a stronger Elliott wave count here. This retracement looks more like a correction, and what I do like is that the bearish divergence here on Palantir, it's screaming a short into next week. So Palantir would be my third potential setup, and I would remain bullish. I would remain bearish on this setup. We can see here how wave 3 has RSI here on the oversold, but this, it's almost a new high. It's actually kind of looking like a potential double top, but check the RSI. This is kind of telling us that Palantir could be ready for finally also a mark for breakdown here. Accumulation, markup, stage 2, stage 3, distribution, stage 4. And finally, my final short setup for next week would be Netflix. We have 3 more minutes here. I just saw, I received from the Benzinga team the message. So it's going to be Netflix, and that would be the final. And this one is very tricky, all right? But for Netflix, for potential shorts, we are going to first need to wait and see for the first red weekly candlestick. I know this is a bullish breakout, and it does look like it on the chart. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of turns into a potential blow off top. What is a blow off top? A blow off top is the upside movement, which would be similar to the stop loss hound to the downside. So when we have a stop loss hound, right, to the downside, a liquidity grab, it's called stop loss hound. To the upside is usually called a blow off top, in which traders position on what seems a valid support or resistance, right? Of course, market makers know that they can check on the order book where are those stops, and we have one final wave low, higher or lower wave final push. You force exit those final bulls or bears, but that move is not able to be sustained. So this is still a bullish breakout, and I wouldn't be shorting Netflix here. So this is where it comes tricky. I do think traders were realizing here this for Netflix, right? We were realizing here this resistance, and of course, it seems a good spot to retest here. But now this is a blow off top. So if this move is not being able to hold into next week, that would mean we have a retest of 1,100, and we fail that retest. This would be here an exhaustion move, in which this would just be a fake breakout, and then I would be expecting that correction. What do we see here? I know Netflix seems like a safe haven. Honestly, the past month with the market correction, I know it kind of feels like this is just a whole market rotation into Netflix, right? Netflix, #1 company, all-time highs when the market was, tariffs going lower and lower. But check this out. What do we notice here on Netflix? Potential 5-wave here. Let me actually update this. And our favorite confirmation, which is the RSI, check it out, wave 3, bearish divergence here on the weekly RSI. So I know price action is a higher high here on Netflix, but check it out. We have here a bearish divergence. So those would be my 4 short setups for next week. And I do think I have only presented short setups today because I do think we are at a certain level in which risk to reward is favoring the downside. That doesn't mean we cannot have a bullish breakout in the markets, right? Of course, we could break above resistance on Microsoft. Of course, we could break resistance on Nvidia. Of course, we could break resistance on Tesla. Of course, we could invalidate resistance on Meta and broke as well. But as you see on the charts, we are at resistance, and this is still a valid downtrend, at least for the Max 7. SPY, Dow Jones, you know, they do look like we have broken above resistance, but Max 7 not. So from a risk to reward, I do think the correct approach into the coming week or the 2 weeks. If you don't want to feel bearish, completely valid, right? At least I would be careful. At least I would be cautious. I would be risk off. If you don't feel like shorting, I would first wait for the bullish breakout above the confirmation levels to feel more safe about going long. We can set our risk, right? We buy the breakout, we can set our risk on the break below it. So if it's a fake breakout, you can take a small loss or maybe a potentially close at break even. You can be safe. But while we remain under these levels, resistance on Microsoft, resistance on Nvidia, resistance on Tesla, on Meta, on Amazon, on Spotify, Palantir, I wouldn't initially think that the risk to reward is favoring longs. I do think into next week, risk to reward is still favoring the shorts. And that is the reason I presented 4 short opportunities for next week. Remember them. It's Meta shorts for next week. Potential strike would be 490, 2 weeks out. For Spotify, reaches of the previous lows, I would be looking at 520 as a potential strike to develop in 2-3 weeks out. For Palantir as well, potential strike would be somewhere around the 90s, honestly, here. And for Netflix, I would first wait for this to be a confirmed blow off top. So that will be all for today. I would like to thank you everyone for your participation, for your attendance. I'm Paulo de Cruz. I'm currently working as a technical analyst with Sandra on Trading Made Simple. I'm also in charge of the morning live trading sessions every day from Monday to Friday, every day that the market is open, of course, holidays and weekends not. And we do this live trading sessions from 9:15 to 10:15 Eastern time, all right? Additionally, we do a lot of automated trading Made Simple. Our main products are automated trade alerts based on technical analysis. We have a big team with many coaches, and it's a very good platform. We do our work through Discord, right? We have additional platforms, so you are all invited to join us on the live trading sessions, also on the automated trades. Those ones we set them up on Sunday. And you can find more about us on our webpage, which I don't see here on the banner, but I think we're going to add it for the next weeks. Our website is tradingmadesimple.org. All right. You can find more about our work on the internet on our website. And looking forward to also day trade. If you would like to day trade with us, take swing trades, or even review the markets, we do this every day, 1 hour daily. Every once the market opens, we actually start with a 15-minute pre-market, and we have a lot of services based on strong technical analysis. And yes, you're all invited to join us. So thank you everyone for your participation, for your attendance. I hope we all have a great weekend. And remember, let's see how it goes next week. My initial bias would be bearish here. Bearish just because we are still below resistance. If we are able to break above resistance, right? If we are able to break above resistance, then I would be looking for a strong bullish breakout and I would be looking for longs. But while we are still respecting this downtrend, I think next week we could have some potential great short setups. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.